Good people, what is up? Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to Mastermind Academy. Welcome to another almost Friday Junior pre-Friday. Welcome. Happy Thursday. Hope you're all doing well. The week's almost done. Ready to go. What's up, Epic Tickle? Good to see you. Absolutely, we're learning today, doing a little bit of Linux. I love it, throwing out some Linux commands bright and early. I hope you all are, whoa, what is this? Hope you all are ready. Hope you all are ready. We're going to finally be diving into the Linux command line stuff. So we've already learned, what Linux is, a little bit of understanding what the Linux kernel is, a little bit of history, a little bit about Linux distributions, understanding that there's different ones you can choose from. All that we have, hopefully you have your way of being able to interact with Linux. If you don't have a way, remember !Linode. They are not a sponsor of the channel, but my credits still seem to work there. So, that's the way you can use it. That's what I'm going to use today. What's up, Zenitz? Zenitz, there we go. !Register if you want to get access to the Google Classroom for all the stuff. So register will just allow me to have your email so that it'll add it to the email list so that I can send you out every week at the beginning of the week. I will send out what we're doing for each of the classes that week. And if there's any schedule changes or anything like that, I'll only send you one email per week. Just kind of updating you on what's going on for that week. !Linux Classroom if you want to grab that. Mondays equals Go. Thursdays Linux. What's on Tuesdays? Tuesdays is cloud. It's AWS stuff. I like that. I'm actually going to make that a command really quick. I like that a lot. What should we call it? ! Commands edit. I'm gonna call. Do I already have a schedule command? Okay, that gives you the calendar, which is still works. I'm gonna think of something for that. Yep, but Mondays we're doing software engineering. And we're learning Golang. On Tuesdays we're learning cloud computing with AWS, and right now on Thursdays we're learning Linux. Oh yeah, let's do classes. Commands add classes. Mondays Go. Tuesdays equals AWS. Thursdays equals Linux. And I'll update that as we go along. Perfect. What's up, Enclaved? What's up, Julian? Yeah, I'm gonna go with Julian. Welcome. Good to see you, fellow gopher. I see you have a class. Yeah. So it's gonna be a fundamentals of software course, but we're using Go to learn there. Appreciate the Twitch Prime sub, Sep Colonel. Good to have you. So today we're gonna be doing some command line navigation stuff. So if you're new to all of this should be pretty helpful. And I think this is the exciting stuff because it's gonna start to make you feel. There's a lot of instant feedback here. It's gonna make you feel like you're doing something important because you're doing some cool stuff. And so we wanna it gives you some instant feedback, some instant gratification. It's much easier to just play around with on your own. Let me update the slides link really quick. Let me grab the slides for tonight. Classes. Everything should have dropped right at 7. Yeah, week 2 slides. Let's open it up. Let me make sure it's accessible to everybody. It's moving slow. Change. There you go. Now you should be able to access it. And I will update this. Ooh, my typing's way off. I might have to do a typing test real quick to get myself in the zone because my typing's not hitting right now. What's that? Slides. There we go. So slides should work now. Let me get over here. Let me get in the zone a little bit. It's been a long Thursday. I'm trying, a little tense from the day. What do we usually use? Monkey type? Yeah. Make it a little bit bigger. Oh, be great now, more line. Oh, okay. I'm killing it now for me. I know some of y'all are amazing, but you know, this is let me slow down so I can get my consistency up. That's my problem right now. My typing speed, I can get a bit high, but I really want to, I'm slowing things down to make sure my consistency gets better. Cause you know, I got these fat fingers, not very good. Not very good, but one of my best on stream so far, to be honest. I'm not sure I've done a faster one on stream. Gotta go play some Overwatch to relax. Yes. I do want to, I'm very excited about Overwatch 2. It looks to be much more my pace, and I'm definitely gonna do one more typing test, and I'm really gonna focus because I really don't think I've ever done a 59 on stream, or maybe I've done a little bit above that, maybe. But I'm really gonna give it a go. But I'm really excited about Overwatch 2. I'm a big Overwatch 1 fan. I just suck. I'm not, like, I feel like I played so many hours and I didn't get as good as I want. Overwatch 2 sucks. It looks good. It, like, the play style, it looks like with one tank down, looks like my play style, especially as a tank, works a little bit better, but we'll see. Check out Dash Machine on Homer on GitHub personal dashboard. You can use the Chrome extension, new tab redirect to make your home page. Huh. Okay. I like that. Let me copy that really quick. Dash Machine. I will absolutely look into that. What rank am I in Overwatch 1? I've reached plat once on one of my accounts, but I'm gold. I'm pretty consistently in gold. 112, 98%. That's pretty good. My best. Oh, I'm actually not even logged in. Let me log in because I know I'm gonna get my highest, and it's not gonna record it. I wanna make sure these are recorded. So my highest ever is 80 for 15 seconds is 83, 76 for 30 seconds. So, you know, not great, but again, way up from where I used to be. So I'm getting there. So let's, let me calm down a little bit and let's, oh, when you mess up the first word, it's not good. Oh, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. After out. We all should. It's so much pressure, but I like this though. I like, I'm still, you know, I'm still shy. I'm still so shy every time y'all are watching. Booty, you know, not very good. I'm consistently on my own when I'm sitting here by myself. I'm pretty consistently in the high 60s, low 70s. I'm gonna get good in front of you all. I'm gonna lose the fear. And then, you know, soon we're gonna break into the 90s. And then we're gonna hit that 100 mark. I'm really gonna start practicing it. I haven't practiced in a long time. When I was practicing, I got from about I was at when I started touch typing, I was about around 40 something words per minute. And it probably took me, it only took me like maybe 3 weeks to get up to the 70s, like doing some, like actually doing practice. Like every single day I was like doing like practice things. Then I stopped doing it because I felt like I was progressing pretty quickly. And then now I've got a bunch of bad habits, and it's kind of been committed to muscle memory. So I've got to like really practice and break some of those habits. Like I do not use my pinky on my left hand. I used to, and then when I started trying to go fast, I stopped using it, and I'm doing a lot of things that are inefficient, but I'll get there. I'll definitely get there. All right, so first things first, I'm going to start up a timer so we can have a time to take a break. Google timer. Cool, what time is it now? 7:10. I'm gonna do 40 minutes. I'll do 42 to give us some time to get ramped up. So we can take a break, take our bathroom breaks, take our water breaks, and we'll start that. So let's do it. Let's learn a little bit about Linux today. We're gonna be hands-on keyboard all of today, so it should be fun. Waddle, Foundations in Linux. This is your 7-part series, part 2 of 7. Let me pull up this, make sure I can see the chat, and let's get going. So today's topics, what are you gonna learn today? One, you're gonna understand the Linux file system a bit. We're not gonna dive, there's a lot that you could learn about file systems, period, and about Linux file systems, but we're gonna dive into just a bit so you have an understanding of that. Then we'll dive into GUIs versus CLIs. I hate that. And it's very funny because yesterday was the first time on Twitter I saw someone ask if you pronounce it CLI or CLI. I don't think I've ever heard anyone pronounce it CLI, but now I will to make everyone angry because that post made me angry. But GUIs, GUIs, or CLIs or CLIs, you'll know the difference between them today. You'll get an intro into shells, and you'll understand what that is. You'll get an intro into the command line, and basically just your start to being able to interact with the computer from the command line, and you'll learn all about command line navigation. This is going to be one of your most important lessons today. Command line navigation. Fairly simple concept, like getting around the command line, but it's going to take some practice and committing to muscle memory to make you good and efficient at it. I never heard it called CLI. It's CLI for me. I agree. That's how I felt too when I read the tweet, and I just read it yesterday. I was going to retweet it, but it was going to make me angry. Exactly, Rugmat. I was like, I don't like that at all. Pretty sure it's CLI. That makes sense. Joey's Bites. You know, it is English, and yeah, I'm sure you could pronounce it that way. I like CLI better than CLI. I'm not gonna lie to you. So we should start doing that together as a team, and everyone will follow suit. Maybe everyone in the world. Okay. All right. So the Linux file system. On a Unix file system, everything is a file. If something is not a file, it's a process. And even these processes are special types of files, or there's special types of files representing them. And so this makes things very simple. I wish when I was first learning Linux, someone would have told me this first line, and it would have helped me out with everything. On a Unix system, everything is a file. If it's not a file, it's a process. So it's either something running, or if it is a file, or it is a file. So it's a file, or it's something running. The Linux file system is also a tree. Okay, so think about a tree coming out of the ground and it's got its roots. You know, trees, using a tree as the descriptor, as the structure of the data is always weird to me, because I never know if people are talking about the roots or the tree going up, because usually it's an inverted tree. But whatever, we'll draw some pictures in a second, and I'll show you what that tree looks like. What if it's a folder or a symlink? Those are, so funny enough, those are files in the Linux file system as well. They're different. There are some delineations of file types in Linux, but yes, they are directories. We do use directories in Linux. You are right, Epic Tickle. Thank you so much for letting us know. We do use directories in Linux instead of folders, but that's okay. But yeah, everything's a file, and everything's a part of this Linux tree. Okay, so this is the Linux tree. Okay, this is something important to note, and I think let's see, is it working today? Hold on, y'all. I think that my Wacom tablet is working today. Let me just start up. What's it? G-Ink? Yeah, I think it's working. I recently heard sudo has a pronunciation sudo. So I always thought it was sudo, and then I found out it's probably sudo. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. I still say sudo a lot. I still say sudo a lot because that's what I learned originally, muscle memory thing. But sudo makes sense. Sudo also makes sense because it looks like, if you read it phonetically, sudo. I don't know. No, I say sudo. I used to say, I don't even know what I say anymore. I've confused myself. Yeah, super user do. Once I heard that, so that means I used to say sudo. That means I learned it as sudo, and I said sudo for years. And then someone said super user do, and I was like, you got me. That makes more sense. It makes a lot of sense. I never knew what sudo was. But yeah, super user do makes a lot of sense. You'll hear me say both. Can't help it. You know, you learn bad habits, you keep using those bad habits. 100%. Yeah, it's working now, y'all. Look at this. Woo! We got it. Okay, so here is the Linux file system. This is this is your first important concept. If you're taking notes and you want to write something down, this is your first important concept. Every Linux system, every Unix system starts here. Okay, at slash. Every single Linux system starts at slash. This is called the root of the file system. Okay, the root of the file system starts at /. Okay, very, very important concept, relatively easy to remember. ask you where the start of a Linux, if anyone ever asks you what's the start of the system, where does the Linux file system start? Everything starts at slash, okay? And so you might hear people will say the word slash. They'll try to give you the location of a file and they'll start with a slash. Know that that's the start of the file system, a forward slash. If you are unfamiliar with the forward slash versus the backward slash, which is completely okay, I make it a point to teach this every single time because I was confused about this until you all taught me this maybe 2 years ago. I think maybe 2 years ago, you all sat down with me on stream because I didn't know the difference between a forward slash and a backward slash, or I knew that they were different, but I could never remember which one was which. Imagine that the slash is a person standing straight up. That's supposed to be straight up. It's not really straight up, but it's straight up. It's got little feet, okay? The slash has feet, and its feet are facing to the right, the way that you normally read. If it's a backward slash, it's leaning backwards. Ooh, that's a backslash. And if he's leaning forward, that's a forward slash. So the start of the system is a forward slash. I'm telling you, I like stuff like this because it helped me remember it. People have showed me 30 times throughout my life, and it was, you know, everyone's got those things that just don't stick in their brain. Forward slash versus backslash were something that didn't stick in my brain. And there we go. All right, that's a forward slash for you right there. What's up, Weasel42? Welcome. My friend told me the same way. Yeah, this was great. And you all taught me this on stream. That's why I said I always learn a lot from you all. Be careful not to let it fall over 100%. So that's the easy way to remember it. But take a look. Slash, this is probably the most important concept. Well, one of the most important concepts today. The file system begins at slash, and it's a tree. So from this one node, we can branch off into many different nodes. And I know this tree is sideways, but take a look at all of these things along this line here. These are all in Linux. These are directories. Okay, they're showing you directories. There's no way for you to really know that right now. To know that they're directories, but these are common directories in Linux. These are directories where things have been we've decided to put things in certain places. These are the directories that we need to actually run the operating system that we use. And so there's a lot of things you'll see here, slash etc. People say slash etsy. I call it slash etsy. Usually people call it slash etsy, and sbin and bin and dev and proc, and all these different things. They will be consistent, mostly consistent amongst all of your Linux operating systems. Okay, most of these will also exist on across your Unix file systems, but it won't be all the same folders. Like on your Mac, you're not going to see all of these same things. You're not going to see all of these same things, but this is a general setup for a Linux file system. Important thing about this slide, know that everything starts with the forward slash. The file system begins with that forward slash. That's true. Sometimes slash boot is on a different partition. If you don't know what a partition is, we will talk about that as well. And so here's a better one if you're taking a look at the slides. This one breaks down what those root folders are. So remember, we said this is actually a similar diagram to the last one, and just instead of being from left to the right, it's from top to bottom. And so what we have right here is the root. Remember, we said that's called the root of the file system. So slash is now up here, and these are all directories that are connected or inside of slash, basically. So from slash, from the root, you have bin, you have boot, etsy, user, var, sbin, and there's a bunch more: temp, dev, home, lib, mount, opt, root. If you went over to the other side, if you went back to the last slide, these are the same directories that are here. What's nice about this slide is it tells you what some of these things are for and what generally goes into these things. Doesn't mean that's always what's in there. Doesn't mean you can't stick something else in there. It just means by default, this is kind of what they're used for. So slash bin is used for essential binaries. Okay, these are executable files. Okay, and so it's for binaries, so they call it bin. That makes some sense. Slash bin. Then boot. This is where all the static files for your bootloader are. That makes sense. A directory that's going to hold the files that we need to be able to boot properly. Etsy, you'll be in here a lot. Host specific system config. So if you need to do some configuration, if you have something, a piece of software to set up, you got to install it and you got to do some configuration. It's likely that the configuration, when you installed it, is going to get put into this folder, into somewhere in the /Etsy folder. So this is where configuration files go. User, shareable, and read-only data, okay? So if you need to share stuff or read-only data goes in there. var, variable data files. Variable meaning things change, okay? Variable meaning things change, so things like logs go in here. All right, things are gonna get updated, lock files, all kinds of stuff like that that are gonna be changing throughout time. That's where it's gonna go. SBIN system binaries. So we have essential binaries over here. System binaries are going to go over here. These are more binaries here. Don't worry about knowing the difference between them. I'm just kind of explaining to you where some of these things are. /temp are temporary files. So as your processes are working, sometimes they create files that they need to write things to temporarily, and then these things will be deleted or cleaned up later. Those will go into /temp over here. /dev. There's a lot of stuff here for your devices and things on your computer. You probably won't go into dev very much. Home, you'll probably be here a lot. This is where users' directories go. So as you create a new user, like as I log in and I'm saving things to my documents folder and stuff, it's going to be in the home directory by default. Lib for library and kernel modules. Mount, these are other file systems. So if you need to mount a second hard drive to your computer or connect to a remote file system somewhere else, you're gonna mount is the place for that, even though you can do it anywhere, but mount is the place for that. Opt, add-on applications and software, and root /root is the home folder for the super user. Root, we talked about that being your admin user, so that's still gonna be the home folder for the root user rather than inside of that home directory. So not essential that you remember all this. It's helpful. This information is helpful, but I went years before it was broken down in this way. I think I figured some of it out over time since I was working with so many different things. But this is mostly, this can be helpful. Keep it around for your own reference if you should need it. Can I describe init process in Linux? I can, and that's something we will talk about. We're definitely going to talk about that. We're not talking about it right now, but we will talk about it for sure. All right, let's see here. What's up, Koba? Good to see you. Escape. All right. So we're going to spend more time today on the file system, and we're also going to spend some time drawing some things out as we're learning how to navigate the file system. We're going to have a lot more conversation about the file system today, but all you need to know right now is that it starts at / and that is a tree structure full of directories that you can follow to get to where you need. All right, interfaces. What's up, Sanucci? Interfaces. GUIs. Let's talk about GUIs. This is something that all of you have used. You're using one right now. But a graphical user interface, that's what this stands for, graphical user interface. And it is an interface. It's a type of user interface through which users interact with electronic devices, such as your computer, via visual indicator representations, i.e. desktop Linux or Windows or Mac. The way that you're used to using them is you're used to, when you want to go do something, if I want to go into my files or if I want to look into a directory, the way that I do that is I click on my file explorer and then I go into, I check out my downloads or I check out my pictures. I hope there's nothing crazy in there. There's not, because it's a fresh computer. But I click on the directory that I want, and there's visual indicators and, there's representations of directories and files, and I'm clicking around and using a mouse pointer to be able, like a visual mouse that I can see, to be able to interact with these things. There's things that highlight to let me know where I'm doing things. There's menus, all kinds of stuff. There's graphic. If I want to close this window, if I want to get out of here, I can hit the X. But that is a graphical user interface. All right, there's things I can see and click on. So the other type of interface, the other type of way I can interface with my computer is through a command line, a CLI. Command line interface, what it does is it processes commands to a computer program in the form of lines of text, i.e. server Linux, okay? So rather than interacting with my computer by clicking around. I can interact with my computer by issuing commands to it. In fact, this is kind of what's really happening under the hood. As you are clicking on things, it's executing commands, it's executing lines of code, it's executing different processes to get done what you want to get done. If I wanted to hop into the terminal, and let me go into, I'm in PowerShell right now. So you saw me go into my files here. Come on, File Explorer. This computer is being extra weird. A little bit, but it was super snappy for a little while before I like refreshed it. And now it's like, it's a little off beat, just a little bit. But let's say I go back into my downloads, take a look at this, and we're gonna do this together soon. Let's say I go into, let's say I issue the command cd, whoops. CD downloads, and I look at this and I do an ls here. Over here on the left, I'm using the graphical user interface to interact with my files that are right here. But on the right, what I did is I used the command line to also move into this same directory, and I use an ls to show the files that are there. And you can see that there's this ginc directory here. This is AWS CLI version 2 that's in here right here. And there's this VS Code user setup that's also right here. So I'm actually looking at the exact same thing, okay? But I'm interacting with it from the command line. I'm using Windows PowerShell to do so. But we're doing the same things. And so one way I'm interfacing via graphical items, graphical elements, and the other way I'm interacting with the computer via by issuing it manual commands. That is the difference between a CLI and a GUI. That is weird that you say CLI and then say GUI. I think that does make sense now that you would call it a CLI. It makes sense. I don't like it. Or a CLI. Did we decide to call it a CLI? I think we did. That is weird. A GLI, a CLI, or a GUI. I never call it a GUI. I never call it a GUI. It's always a GUI to me. But a GUI is a graphical user interface. CLI is a command line interface. You must now call it GUI. I don't know if I can do that. I think that I really think that I would prefer to call it CLI rather than calling it GUI. And then this is gonna confuse me all day. It does make sense, but CLI sounds like an old man. It does. It does sound like an old man name for sure. I don't think this slide is supposed to be here, so we're gonna move past it. Okay, yeah, I don't know why this is here. Yeah, I don't know why that's there. Maybe I dragged it out of place on accident. Next up, shells. Okay, so now what have we learned so far? We've learned simply that the Linux file system is a tree-like structure that has a starting point of // which is the root of the system, and that everything on that file system basically is a file or a process. And we've also learned that there are two different ways to interface with the computer. There's a graphical user interface, which we usually use, think desktop environments, think Windows, think Mac OS, think desktop Linux. There's also the CLI, there's a command line interface that you can use to interact with your computers. You're gonna do this through your terminal. You're gonna do this through a command prompt, through PowerShell, depending on what system you're on. We're talking about Linux though, so we're talking about through your terminal. Let's talk about shells, okay? Shells. Feel free to answer later. I will bring that back up as soon as our alarm goes off. I'll answer all the questions about the framework. It's dope. What are shells? You might have heard this a lot. A shell is a program that interprets your input and executes actions based on that input in a CLI. So right now, a word we just learned the real meaning of, which is CLI. This shell pertains to that. So it's a program that interprets our input. So we're putting things into the command line interface. The shell interprets what we're doing, and it takes that and it issues the command to the computer. Different shells can interpret your commands differently and have different tools and features. So when you hop into the terminal, you are actually using, they provide for you a shell by default. And it's different on different systems. We're going to talk about what those are. But that shell is what's actually interpreting our commands. We are issuing a command, the shell is reading it, and it is processing it accordingly, and it is letting the computer know what to do. Different shells, there are different shells, and different shells have different features. They have different things. Some of them can interpret the same command in a different way. It's mostly the same across the board, which is super helpful. Makes it pretty easy to switch shells. But there can be some differences, and different ones have different features and things that you can do. And so, you know, if you want to dive super deep into it, you can definitely find a shell that's best for your workflow. They all do a ton of things. And so you can get pretty deep in the shell game, but it's dope. Just know that these shells are the thing that's going to interpret the commands that you type in into the terminal. The default Linux Unix shell that it's not okay. So it's not the default shell, but it is available. It will be available on every Unix. Every Linux system is SH, okay? SH is the Bourne Shell, Blah 7, perfect. I love it. That is absolutely the perfect answer. We're definitely gonna, after we learn about these real quick, we're definitely gonna use that to make sure everyone knows what that means. But the default Unix shell, the old school Unix shell, it's called the Bourne Shell, but it's just SH. You can just call it SH. Okay, and it's located, you saw Blah 7's message, it's located at /bin, remember slash is the beginning of the system, /bin, which is a binary, /sh, so that's how you execute the shell, but sh is the default Unix shell. It's old, it's the original Unix shell, so it's the original thing that was used to interpret your commands in Unix, and it is going to be available on every system that you use, okay? So it will be there, but it won't be the default. It may not be the default shell on the system that's used, but it will be there and it will be available. That's not true of these other shells. Correct. Absolutely made by Jason Bourne. The movies showed you what type of guy he is, and he also contributed heavily to the open source world. So SH. The next shell is Bash. Okay? Bash, the born again shell. Makes sense. It's SH born again. Okay, so this is the born again SH Bash shell. This is the most popular shell in modern Linux machines. This is what is likely going to come by default as the default item in most Linux distributions. Bash. It's likely going to be available on most Linux distributions. It's been super popular for a long time, and it's the same type of interpreter, but it has more features. It has more modern features for the way that we use computers nowadays to make life easier for you. All the fun of SH, but arrow keys work. Yes, so these are some of the types of differences between the things that you're using. There are some shells where your arrow keys have different functionalities. There's a lot of different features that these things can provide. But yeah, Bash is the most popular modern Linux shell. It used to be the same thing for Mac as well. Mac OS used to have Bash as the, so if you haven't updated your Mac in a long time, if you have an old Mac that you've been avoiding upgrades on, it's possible that you have Bash installed as the default shell. Today you'll learn how to check what shell you're using, but that may not be it's likely not the case anymore because of this shell. ZSH, Z shell. Okay, I call it ZSH, some people call it Z shell, but it's an extended version of the Bourne Shell. With plenty of new features that support plugins and themes. Since it's based on the same shell as Bash, ZSH has many of the same features, so switching over is a breeze. ZSH has become incredibly popular. It is old too, like none of them are new. But it's pretty old, but it's become incredibly popular because the plugin system is actually pretty dope. So a lot of people like Linux because of the customization that you can do. I actually have a video that was supposed to drop on Tuesday, which is probably not going to drop until this upcoming Tuesday because the video has gotten so long, specifically about, the ultimate Linux setup, desktop setup, like how to go about customizing all the different things. And I actually go at length talking about Z shell or ZSH setups and changes. And so you can see how this one is much prettier than, oh, I didn't give you a bash one over here, but there's a lot of easy customizations. I think there's a big tool called Oh My ZSH, which is a collection of packages and things that give you a lot of functionality inside of ZSH that people use. That it makes it look good. It gives you a lot of the things that you need. And so ZSH is dope. And it's probably, for Mac, it has become the new default shell. I'm not really sure why. I actually never looked into their reasoning behind that, but it has become the new default shell. If you are this, you won't have. You have to be careful with this because there's some fancy stuff that you might get used to in ZSH on your local Linux machine, and if you end up working a role where you have to log into other systems or something, you may not have those tools. So something to be careful about. Watch yourself getting used to the tooling that's being given to you. Watch yourself becoming reliant on those things. Kind of make sure you got the core skills. Yes, it's easy to get spoiled by ZSH and then log into a machine that does not have it and be very, very confused because you're not getting back the same type of information. The things that you expect to be there aren't there. But it's dope. It is dope. It is. I thought switching to ZSH for a long time, but I have since switched to it. I'm not set up with it on this machine, but yeah, it's dope. It's pretty cool. Cool, and those are all the things that we're talking about. There are many more shells for you to go into. People have brought them up. Boomer, Blot7 said, Boomer equals Bash. So Bash being, like I said, the most popular modern shell. So, it's old still, but it's the Boomer generation for sure. Mega Boomer is the Bourne Shell, so just SH for sure. The Chad is ZSH, so the newer one, you got the chiseled jaw, you got the nicely manicured beard, that's ZSH. And then there's mentally damaged for TCSH or Z or CSH. There are, like I said, there are other ones. I don't know if people who use them are mentally damaged, but I would stick with these main shells. Check out Bash, check out ZSH, watch a few videos on the differences, watch people set them up, find what you like, definitely do some experimenting. I just don't think you need to stray farther away from either one of those. Fish is nice. I have heard of people using Fish a fair amount. I've never spent much time in Fish, but I'm sure it's fine. What's up, Goku? Good to see you. Bash is the main dog server side. You said yes. Bash is the main dog server side. A lot of scripts are written utilizing just the Bourne Shell, just SH, because it's guaranteed to be there. And there are a few other reasons which we will get into because we're going to do a Bash scripting section and we'll talk about those things then. But yes, Bash is top dog server side for sure. I keep being told not to pipe curl to Bash. Yes, that is generally true. And a lot of applications are actually putting in little warnings or disclaimers or checking for you doing that. And we'll be like, hey, you should pipe this to SH instead. And again, we can definitely talk about that. I don't want to confuse people too early. We can definitely talk about that. You have yet to verify. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Before we start this, how much time do we have left on our timer? 12 minutes? Great. Cool. Let's keep moving. The faster we get through it, the more actual hands-on practice we will have. And that's the goal, to get hands-on. All right. Here we go. We've learned some things. This is the last concept, but this concept is immediately applicable to you being able to get hands on keyboard, okay? This is today's class. This is what you came for. You came for this right here. This part is important. Choose your path. I'm so serious, if you don't get anything else out of the day, I know that I said learning the root of the file system is important, knowing that it's / that's important. And that will come up here. So you'll reinforce it with this information right here. This information, understanding file pathing in Linux, is going to be the thing that makes you most effective. Sometimes it takes people a very long time. Like, the concept right up front is relatively easy to understand. No pun intended, as the second part is called relative file pathing, but it's relatively easy to understand. It's a little bit difficult to master because again, like you say it out loud, sounds good. When you start to use it, to implement it, it can be a little bit tough to think through a little bit. So pay attention. We'll practice a lot with this. This is the most important section of the day. Absolute file pathing. What is it? Linux directories have a tree structure. So starting from the root, that slash, and it can branch off into different nodes, which are all directories and files. You can follow that tree to get to any file or directory that you want to. Okay, this is actually the same thing in Windows and Linux, but you file that directory to get to that. You can follow that tree to trace to wherever you need to go. This is called a file path. To get to a file, it's the path of a file. Absolute file pathing. This is the concept we're talking about right now. Absolute file pathing is the complete and entire path, the full path necessary to get from the root. Let's circle that. From the root of the file system tree to the file or directory that you desire, even if you don't know what any of that means. As soon as I say the full file path necessary from the root of the system tree, you now know exactly what we're talking about. When we say the root of the system tree, you know we are now talking about // That's the root of the system tree. So an absolute file path is the path to a file from the root. So path to file, starting from the root. So because it's starting from the root, an absolute file path, the root of every Linux system is a /. This means that every absolute file path must begin with a /. So if I ever ask you, if I ever just hand a file path to you, if I ever just hand you a file path, a list of characters that looks like a file path to you, I say, this is a file path, you will be able to tell me instantly whether or not this is an absolute file path. The reason you can tell me that is because every single absolute file path starts from the root of the system, and the root of the system of every Linux system is a /. So that's how you know it's an absolute file path. And so if I ask you, or if anybody asks you to write an absolute file path, or they tell you that they need an absolute file path for a file, you know instantly how to get it started. You know exactly, you can't give it to them without starting off with that /. So it gives you a good place to start. Okay, and here is an example down here. If I wanted the path to this file.txt, it starts from the root of the system, then it goes into the home directory, then it goes into the mastermind directory, then into the documents directory, and then that is where my file.txt lives. Lord Caffeine, welcome. So good. It has been a long time, a very long time, many, many months. Zero's Theory, good to see you as well. Absolutely good concept to nail down. So that's an absolute file path. It starts at the root of the system. Every root of every Linux system is a /. All right, definitely a concept to go back and look at. Definitely a good thing to cover again with the slides. Okay, so if that is absolute file pathing, what are the other types of file paths we can have? Well, if it's not an absolute file path, it is a relative file path. All right, so the relative file path is a path necessary to get to the file or directory that you want relative to your current location. All right, so your current location, and maybe I should put your current location on the tree. Okay, so if you're in that file system tree, wherever you currently are, a relative file path is how do you get to a file from my current location. So absolute is how you get there from the root of the system. How do I get to this file from the root of the system? You can always use the absolute file path. Whenever you have to reference a file, you can always use the absolute file path if you know it. And then here's the other option. How do I get to this file relative to where I am on the directory tree? Since absolute file paths begin with a /, begin with a /, relative paths do not. That's how you can differentiate them. Absolute begins with a /, the root of the system. Relative file paths do not begin with a slash. They begin with a directory. Okay, so just no slash at the front. So an example would be documents tests test one. Okay, so no slash in the front. You know it's relative. And again, it's relative to where I am now. It's a little bit hard to figure out. We're about to draw some pictures to make it easier to understand that concept. Unix philosophy: everything is a file. Absolutely. It's super duper helpful. CD documents, relatives. Absolutely. Let me close this. And let's, before we go into that, let's actually open up a, what's the best way to, white background. The problem is if I use something like Microsoft Whiteboard, because it's actually a pen app, it will, it actually causes a lot of problems with my, my Wacom tablet. Wacom? Full screen. No, not Wayfair. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Open image in new tab. Here we go. I got something in mind. Okay, let's draw a little file system tree really quickly. So let's, it always starts at root. And I'm not gonna draw a real file system. I'm just going to make a couple random things up really quick just to prove our point here. And we'll use some real Linux directories. /var/user and /home, just a couple of them. And then in var, there might be a couple of other directories. And let's say log. Let's say I'm making up literally anything. Cal, like a calendar, who cares? And /num, whatever. Literally doing anything. And in home, let's say there's Aaron. Let's say there's Julie. And let's say there's Ben. Okay, here is a file system tree with made up directory names, whatever. If we wanted to know the full file path to the Ben folder, okay? If we're trying to get to the Ben folder, the full file path to the Ben folder would be slash, it would be slash starting at the root. So if we say full system path, full absolute path, it will be slash. And from slash, I can only go to one of three places. I can either go to home, to user, or to var. And so Ben is only accessible from home, so I've got to go into home first, /home, /Ben. Okay? That is how, that's the absolute path to Ben. Now, let's say I moved into the Ben folder. Let's say I'm currently right here. And I wanted to get back over to the var directory. Let's say I want to get over here. My path to get there relative to where I am now, the only places I can move, I can't go to the right. I can't go into num. I can't go into user. I've got to go back into home. I've got to move back up the tree. So I've got to, let's actually change the color. Relative to where I am now, if I'm in Ben, I have to go back up to home. And then, from home, I the only place I can go to is to one of these three. So I have to go back up to the slash level, and then I can go over to var. And so that's can be pretty confusing for people. This is a relative file path relative to where I am now. So for Ben, if I wanted to move to var, I would go, and we're about to learn this concept, but I need to go back up one. I need to go back up again. And I need to go back to var. And so really you can look at it like this. I need to go to home first. Then I need to go to slash, which you can't really write. And then I need to go into var. Okay, it's weird because you can't really write it this way because that's not how you write it. But I must take these steps. And so if I'm at user, if I want to get to num, I've got to go back up. I've got to go back up to here to slash so I can get over to var so I can get down to num. Okay, so I have to move to different places relative to where I'm at now. So generally, this is a very general rule of thumb, because it's not going to be the case if something is along the same track. Generally, this is going to be your happy path. It's going to be your absolute path, which you can always use. Is going to be the straight shot there from the root of the system. Relative path, again, is relative from where I currently am. We're going to draw a much bigger one to make a little bit more sense. You'll get a lot of practice with this as well. On your website, can you go at your own pace? I saw something on Docker and Kubernetes that would be helpful. So not on the website, but these things are posted in YouTube. So if you go to, I am moving them to the second YouTube channel, but if you click on the YouTube link or type in !YouTube, there are playlists there. I'm moving them over to the VODs channel. There's a if you do !VODs, there's a VODs channel. I'm moving over all of the playlists over to there, so you will be able to go at your own pace there. Can't you just go to about blank? I missed where we were with that, so maybe not. I love that you use WSL. That's a great way to show how you do the same thing on Windows. Yes, on a Windows box, 100%. That's another reason why I decided to stick with it. Right, we can do a lot of path stuff too. Put it all in your path. Yes, makes perfect sense. Put everything in the path. Does CD work in Linux? Yes, Cami. CD is the way that you move around in Linux. It stands for change directory. We're about to spend some time with that. Hey, we're gonna learn some Kubernetes stuff so we can absolutely do some kubectl applies. I've moved away from calling it kubectl. I don't like the way it sounds. Actually, that's actually great timing. Hold on, let me get over here. Where's my mouse? Oh, I'm in this. And cool. Take a 5-minute break. We're gonna practice some more. We'll definitely practice file system trees some more. I'm about to teach you the commands to actually move around, and then we're gonna practice this file system tree, and we'll draw it out while we're actually typing in the commands next. So take a 4 or 5 minute break, and we'll hop back on. It's 5 minutes. 5 minutes from now, let's put a 5-minute timer up. So if you have any questions about what we've done so far or about anything, ask away. In 5 minutes, we will get back onto it, and we'll actually start learning some of these commands. Left cube. Argo CD changed my life. I've heard of Argo CD. I don't know what that is. GitOps continuous delivery to okay. I've heard of this a bunch of times. I've never used this. Sounds cool. I'm helping with stretch goals. I like it. You got to have stretch goals. Keep throwing that stuff out there. I told you all, as people. So just want to make it clear to people, if you're just learning for the first time, you're coming in and people are throwing out random commands and stuff and throwing out random information. Save some of that stuff. Copy some of that stuff down and look into it a little bit later. Don't be overwhelmed by the amount of things that people are throwing out there. Focus on what we're doing here. See what people are saying. See what people are throwing out there. Copy some of the stuff to the clipboard. Go look up those things later. We will talk about these things. We will come across these things. Immerse yourself in it. You gotta get straight into the pool, and things will they'll start to make sense as we start to learn commands. You haven't even learned your first real commands yet. We're about to learn our first real commands, and it'll start to really you'll start to be able to build for sure. Just want to hear your opinions on the framework. I absolutely love this thing. So I got the what's this called, the D brand skin on the front here, because I was using this as my full-time laptop. Like the bezel, look at this, the bezel. So if you want to change the screen, the bezel comes right off. It's magnets, and you can just unscrew the screen. I think the build quality is absolutely phenomenal for a laptop of this caliber. The screen, to me, I thought the screen was going to be terrible. Screen's amazing. My only gripes about the system, period, are the. I think I would have preferred a bigger laptop. I think a 14-inch laptop would have been perfect. The 13-inch is good. I actually like the aspect ratio for work stuff, but I wish the laptop was a little bit bigger. It's very light. I love it. I think it's really good. I wish I would have gotten the i7 version, and I still might. I might keep this for my stream computer and get the i7 version as my main laptop, since I have two pretty powerful desktops. I don't really need a crazy laptop. Battery life isn't amazing, but it's good enough, and you can charge it with an external battery pack. So I never have any. I don't worry about it because I have like a big external battery pack that you can charge over USB-C. It's pretty impressive, and I'm newly into sustainability and like reducing how much personal waste that I have, that I create. And so, I don't know, that's a new concept to me. And so I'm interested to see how long I can keep this. I'm very interested to see how long I can keep this laptop, because you can upgrade just the CPU if you want, which is amazing. Definitely a new concept on the laptop. So I'm hoping it lasts for a long time. I want to see what else they make though. I'm hoping they come out with a new model that's a little bit larger, or with a bigger battery. But it's dope. Absolutely, Joey's Bites. I think it might have been, maybe it was you who recommended that we take these. It was a good idea. Definitely need to take these. Yeah, they don't mind if you repair it. And have you seen some of the cool renders and things of, you can buy the main board by itself? So people are putting the main board right into a keyboard. They're putting the whole computer right into a keyboard. They're putting it into different casings. I think that's really, really cool. It's really opening up the world to how you think about these things. I think it's a great laptop. Great Linux support as well. So yeah, crystallized code. It has been a while. Good to, when I see your name, it just brings back all the memories. We've been through so much together. It's really, really good to see you. I hope you're doing great. I'm doing great. Can't complain at all. So if you got some funds to spend, I think it's a good laptop. They have you can also return it. They have a good return policy, but I'm very impressed by it. I would save the money and get the build your own version, because the only thing that you have to put in there is the hardest part is the wireless card. I have fat fingers and I was able to do it no problem. And then besides that, it's just like you literally save so much by just putting in an SSD and memory. And so I would do that. I wouldn't be scared of that, even if you've never done anything like that before. I think that it's worth the money savings for sure. And you can get cheaper SSDs and stuff around. Like, I already had them sitting around, so I didn't have to pay any extra money for that stuff. The charger, if you're looking for a way to support the company and you don't need a new laptop, or you don't want to buy a laptop, and I completely understand, because if you don't need a new laptop, don't buy a new laptop. But they have their charger, the 65-watt charger that comes with it, is a thing. It's a work of art. I don't know why it's so nice, but it's very nice. It's a very nice USB-C charger, and so you can use it to charge all of your stuff. And if you want to support them, that's what I would do. You can buy the charger as a standalone item. It is very, very impressive. If you have a USB-C laptop that's 65 watts or less, which is all the Ultrabooks, even if you have a MacBook, it's pretty impressive. It's pretty dope. And if you want to support them, that's how I would support them. My old AMD A12 laptop runs Linux, no sweat. Yeah, yes, this runs Linux excellent. If I do get another one for myself, I will be running Linux on it, because I run Windows on this machine. But yeah, no Clash, unemployed, I need one. Hey, maybe we'll figure out, maybe Framework will come along. Maybe I'll send Framework a little video and say, people want your laptop, okay? And maybe they'll give us one to donate. We'll see what we can do. We'll figure something out. As far as Cube, a few things checked out. Argo CD, I'll check that out. Cube Vela Gatekeeper, Istio. I've used Istio and Crossplane, never used Argo CD or Cube Vela Gatekeeper, so I'm gonna check those out. Yeah, I'm actually gonna screenshot this right now. Hold on, let me. Actually, I can do it afterwards. But yeah, maybe they'll give us something. I'll let you know. Thoughts on Dagger, a new Docker alternative. Hold on. Let's see. Dagger. I've heard of this. Is this the one that the people from Docker went away to build? Is this what they're building? Okay, I read about this when they first talked about it. I haven't looked into it, and I have no idea what it is. A portable dev kit for CI/CD pipelines. Build powerful CI/CD pipelines quickly, then So they're containerizing the whole pipeline. Is that am I understanding that correctly? Like, are they giving developers parity between? Oh, hold on. Without rewrites. Ooh. This is interesting. This is very interesting. Huh. Okay. I'm going to check this out. I might do a day. So I really want to start doing some more exploratory days where like we just hop on and build something or dive into something. This is a great contender. I'm going to watch some videos about this. We got to check that out for sure. What flavors of magic beans does it come with? All of them. Hopefully not the throw up flavored ones. That's gross. They've declared war against YAML. I'm okay with that. I just follow buzzwords I hear in DevOps circles and I regurgitate them. Yes. So I really mean this, especially for DevOps roles. Knowing the buzzwords and being able to regurgitate them with knowing a little bit of information about them can 100% get you a job. I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm not saying that you'll be comfortable in that job. I'm not saying that you'll be able to do that job successfully, but I'm not joking. That can get you past a number of rounds at a lot of places. If you listen to the buzzwords and you regurgitate them, you'd be surprised at how far you could get. I find it absolutely wild. I've had people do it to me before. I've had people because so let me be very clear. I've done it before, and I'll have people talk to me, and I can tell they're regurgitating, and I'll give a probing question or two, and I'll know immediately that they're just doing exactly that. But you'd be surprised at how far that could get you. You would really be surprised at how far it'll get you. DevOps and cybersecurity all have buzzwords. Yes. This is how Mastermind got a job. I mean, not right now. I'll share more. I'll share lots of stories. But yes, seriously, my second and third job, buzzwords. I didn't know what I was doing. But I was talking a good game. I literally watching videos like, I'm just gonna say this. I'm just gonna throw it out there, and I was literally throwing words. They weren't even asking me anything. I was just throwing stuff out there, and luckily they weren't digging into them. Luckily, it's all good. Learning video today was downloading Jenkins Docker images, setting up a pipeline with a Go script. I thought for a minute that should be, maybe I should do your Go class too. Come through and do it. I mean, yeah, I think it's a great thing to learn. Definitely think it's a great thing to learn. I'm getting into an apprenticeship. That's dope. Yes, apprenticeships are great. And more companies, I'm telling you, more and more companies are doing apprenticeships. I get approached so much. Like, hey, have you ever set up apprenticeships in companies before? What does that look like? I need some information. What have you learned from teaching people? A lot of companies are starting to do that, which is great. Now's such a good time to be getting into this stuff because companies they're dying. They're dying for people who have okay skills to come do great stuff for them and pay them a lot of money. So just keep moving. My work requires we all do our own DevOps development, IAC, etc. Sucks when you start, but yeah, you learn to appreciate the knowledge. That's dope. Oh, note file with hundreds of acronyms describing buzzwords. Yeah. Yes. This one recruiter called me 7 times like an ex-girlfriend. Yes, that will happen a lot because recruiters are making tons of money off of you today, in today's world, and they have been for a long time. They'll blow your phone up. I had one recruiter blow up my phone a ton, and I would answer all the time. For one day, I didn't answer for half of the day. I did like a first round interview somewhere, and I didn't answer for like the first half of the day when he was calling me back. Oh my gosh, he left me so many voicemails. I didn't call him back the next day because I was annoyed at how many voicemails he left me. And like, he was really upset with me. Like we were it was really like we were in a relationship. Like the way he responded, like his whole mood and everything was like, you hurt me, basically. Like I can't believe you did that to me. And it was like, dude, you gotta relax. Like you gotta relax, my man. I have a life. Like, I did the interview, it went well. And he's like, I needed to get your feedback and blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, all right. Well, definitely set some boundaries for sure. Because again, when money's involved, people have no shame. They will invade as much of your life as you allow them to. But hey, some of them are trying to help you, but use them as a tool, but no, they will try to take advantage of you. People's making $2 to $3 an hour per person they place. Sometimes a bonus. $2 to $3, $2 to $3 an hour. That doesn't sound great. All right, let's keep moving. Yes, we can have a lot of conversations about recruiters. It's $2 to $3 an hour. That doesn't sound. Oh, that's all right. Per person they placed, 2 to 3 hours, $2 to $3 an hour. That sounds. Maybe am I understanding this wrong? $2 to $3 an hour per person they placed. That still doesn't seem. Oh, whoa. Okay. All right. Okay. Got it. Yes, that's great. that's really great. I don't know why I was struggling through that. I was like, so you're telling me that they placed someone and for that hour they got an extra $3? That doesn't make any sense. Thank you. I got it. I'm dumb. That's dope. I would rather get the a full bucket commission at the same time. Actually, maybe I wouldn't. I felt that makes it a lot easier to live your life consistently, like during downtimes. Like if they add it to your hourly pay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, places and got a job. Yeah, for all that's pretty cool. I like that. Okay, so now we're gonna actually learn the commands. So we learned a little bit about what the file system looks like, relative versus absolute file pathing. We're gonna get tons of practice with that. These concepts aren't done with at all. All of this stuff goes together for today. And so now we're gonna learn how to navigate via the CLI. So the first thing I want you to do is, after this slide, is to pull up your terminal. If you're on Linux or Mac, pull up your terminal. If you're on Windows, well, this is the Linux course, so hopefully you have a way to run something Linux. If you have a VM, start it up. If you're on Windows and you install the Windows subsystem for Linux, let's get into that terminal. Or if you're using the Linode option, hop into your Linode VPS. I'm going to hop into Linode as well for anyone who's following in that way, so that you can see how to get back in, because sometimes it's hard to remember how to get in there. And we will get going. So commands over clicking. We are not doing anything fancy. This can be pretty intimidating to folks. You do not need to be afraid of what we're doing. We are simply navigating our computer with commands rather than a mouse. Okay, we're doing the normal things that we always do. We're just doing it with commands over a mouse. So don't be too afraid. Don't be intimidated. It is it's actually pretty simple. All right, so let me get logged in to my Linode VPS, and I'll do it with my my local file system, so it'll make some things easier for you to see when I do it locally as well. The company was making 50% and above for each. Yeah, yes. So let me be so I've gotten people placed. Yes, companies who place you get a lot of money. They get a lot of money. Oftentimes, the industry average for like a good recruiting company is like low 20% to 35% of the person's 1 year salary. So if they place someone making $100,000, who's going to make $100,000 per year? The company that accepts the individual onto their team will pay a fee of $25,000 or $30,000 for the server. I mean, for the service, which is absolutely insane. And so I don't. There are a lot of recruiting companies out there, but I really don't understand why I don't understand how every recruiter hasn't started their own recruiting agency. Like, I would instantly go start my own recruiting agency if I was a recruiter. Like, I don't. Maybe because I've never worked in one. I've worked with a lot of them. it just doesn't seem, it doesn't seem like it's, I don't know. It just doesn't seem that crazy to me. That like that you get that many benefits from working with a larger organization. Yes, you get a pretty large database of both job listings and you do get access to their full suite of candidates. But I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't, because you make so much off of one. Like, I'm not joking. I would go be a recruiter and get one person placed every 3 months and live my life. Be happy. Be happy and just get one person with a relatively high salary placed every 3 months and chill in between. That sounds good to me. I think I could do it. I could do it. I'm gonna do it. But yeah, I don't know. I can't. Yeah. Do you think companies should pay people for interviewing, especially when they give take-home assignments for 2 days? All right. While I'm logging into this, I'll talk about that for a second. I am torn. I'm torn. I'm very torn on this. I exist on both sides of this equation, and I'm not 100% sure where I'm at yet. Here's the reason why. Again, a company has no way. The salaries for this are high. They're high. You know, we're not nurses, again, where you have real credentials. There's no way to really validate what you know. Okay, there's no way to validate you're good enough for this role. No, it's a really good question. There's no way to know, like there's no good way to know. And so because of that, it provides all of us the opportunity to get in here and do big things. I don't know. I think it's to me, it's almost because the companies, I think if the companies were paying way less, I might feel that way. But because the companies are willing to pay these salaries, you got to give. I don't know. It's really tough. Like how do they? How else do you? How do you vet folks? If I'm going to give you $200,000 plus pay your benefits, like how do I confirm that you're good? How do I confirm that I should give you this money? And yeah, you can give technical test during the interview, but I think for most people, getting the take-home assignment gives you a better shot. People just there's so many factors in this. Like a lot of people who are really strong in technical freeze up in situations that are like live technical troubleshooting with people you don't know. Can be pretty tough. The tech tests are pretty bad. I do agree. I do not think that everything is great right now on the hiring side. But I don't know yet. I don't yet know the answers, and that's the problem. But for the amount of time, I do think it's ridiculous the amount of time people are asking you to put into some of these things. Like, yeah, I mean, honestly, if you're gonna ask me to put in 3 hours to build this thing, 3-4 hours, like outside of work, like, pay me. Yeah, like, you got to pay me to do that. You got to pay me. But then you get a lot of fraud. Then you got people just interviewing to get the money, and how do you curb against that? Like, I don't know. But I've interviewed with a lot of people who are just absolutely awful with many years of experience who think they're the best and deserve so much money. And so, yeah, I don't know where the happy medium is. Maybe it should be a bonus if hired. Maybe like instead of paying you for your time beforehand, maybe if hired or if you get to a certain round, then we'll pay you. Maybe something like that. I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough. If you figure something out, let me know. I'm a little torn on it just because how else does this company know you're good? The problem is they're paying. Like, I can't even be mad at them for wanting to know. And I know the effect. Like, we're usually thinking of big companies and they have massive money to give to people. If you're a small to medium tech company, you're really trying. You're trying to grow. Like a bad hire at 180 grand a year can put you in financial ruins. Like, really. So just, and then you got to go do it again. Like, I guess that's where I'm coming from, because I'm a small, as a small business owner, I think that's where I'm coming from. But yeah, it's weird. People do hire from Fiverr. I've seen it happen. I've seen people hire on Fiverr to interview, and a completely different person show up the first day. I've seen it twice, actually. Pretty interesting. pretty savage. I'm not gonna lie. That's, hey, life's a game. You play it how you want. You got to take if you want to make risky moves, you got to take the consequences. But hey, I'm with it. It's not. I think it is illegal, but you're probably not gonna get in trouble for it. You're just not gonna get paid, most likely. But yeah, don't. I'm not encouraging you to do anything bad. I'm just saying. All right, so I'm gonna log in really quick. Remember, if you're on Windows, you can just open up Command Prompt or PowerShell. If you're on anything else, you can just open up your terminal. And if you log into your Linode, it's going to take you to a screen that looks like this. If you spun one up already, go ahead and click it, and the whole command that you need to log in will be right here. And you can copy this, your SSH command, and just paste it on in. Hopefully you remember your password. If not, you can destroy this one and make a new one. And there we go. I'm in the system. I'm not going to use this one right now, but I will use it later. Let me know if you're having trouble logging in. If you decided to use Linode and you're having trouble logging in, let me know. Maybe we can get you helped out. When I interview, I ask random questions to see how they respond. Yeah, I agree. That I do think you can learn an absolute ton from the questions. I think for anything other than software dev, yes. I think in pretty much everything besides software dev, I think a conversation is all you need to have. I think for most software dev jobs, a conversation is all you need to have. I agree. A conversation tells you all of what you need to know, to be honest. I think you can, I think the problem is you can finagle. Software is so abstract. I'm 100% sure I could finagle a high level, like a pretty high level software role, and not be equipped to really do the job. But hey, it is what it is. But I do think conversations are personally, I think they're the best way. But I also know people who despise having the conversation and would rather you give them a whiteboard problem, because I know code and I know how to solve problems, and that's what I would rather do. I don't want to have this philosophical conversation with you. Different people like different things. I think companies should start giving more options. Hey, how do you think you would best present yourself? But companies aren't going to do that though. Companies still think they're the prize. Now that people are starting to learn that they're the prize, that's why salaries are going up. I think there will be more options for interviewing, more options for being able to display how good you are. Okay, so let's do this thing. Where am I? So whenever you log into the Linux system, whenever you're on a Linux system, you will be somewhere in the directory tree, somewhere in that file system tree. How do you find out where you are? How do you orient yourself? How do you know what's going on? So the first command you're going to learn today is called PWD. The way that you find your current location, the way that you find out exactly where you are right now, is with the PWD command. Okay, what does that mean? That means present working directory. What is the directory that I'm currently working in? And so let me actually put this on a different... Why isn't it? There we go. Let's put this on this desktop so I can go back and forth easily. There we go. So PWD. Type it in, you hit enter. You have now issued a command to your terminal, and your shell took it in and interpreted it and submitted it to the computer and got a response. And so the response that we got is /home/mastermind. Somebody who just learned, someone who just learned absolute versus relative file path today. Tell me what kind of file path this is. What kind of file path is this? What kind of file path did PWD return to me? Does Linux download instructions the same for Mac? Yes. But if you're on a Mac, you don't need to use Linode. You can just use your Mac right now. It's an absolute, exactly. It's an absolute file path. Okay, so whenever you type in PWD, this is how you find out where you currently are right now. Stands for present working directory, and it's always going to give you the absolute file path. It's never going to give you relative. It's going to give you the absolute file path always. Okay, so so I'm in /home/mastermind. Perfect. So PWD, that's how you find out where the heck you are. Very, very important to know. Now that I know where I am, how do I see what is in the current location that I'm at? So I'm going to be, you can only move inside of a directory. So wherever you are, wherever you exist on the file system, you're going to be inside of a directory. You can't move into a file. Okay, you can't be in a file. You can only be inside of directories. So the directory that I'm currently in, how do I see what's in the directory that I currently am in? We use the ls command. The list, I think it's short for list. We can look at the name. I actually don't know what ls stands for. I can't believe that because I've been using Linux for so long. But I think it's list. All right, so ls, when you type in ls and hit enter, it displays some outputs to you. So right here, I can see this AWS here and it's blue. I can see AWS CLI v2.zip and it's red. And I can see go 1.18.1 blah, 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 tar.gz, and that's also red. Okay. You don't know this, and there's easy ways to see this, but I'll tell you right now, this is a directory. The blue one's a directory, and these are files. The red ones are files in this case, specifically archive files. But when I type in ls, it shows me what files and directories are accessible from my current location. Okay, so what this is showing, and let me see if I can find a good color for this. What this is showing you is that we're in /home mastermind. So the system starts at /. Then there's a directory somewhere called home. And then there's a directory called mastermind. Okay, so this is where we are. This is our current working directory. We're inside of here. When we type in ls, what it does is it spits out the information about what is inside of this directory. So AWS is a directory that's inside of here. Then there's this AWS CLI thing, which is a .zip, which is a file, which is a zip file. And then there's this go.tar.gz. Okay, so these files are inside of the mastermind directory. So if I were going to ask for the absolute path to the AWS CLI v2 thing, the way that I would be able to express that is at /home. Okay, so we went from / and we went down to home. Then we got to go from home down to mastermind, and from mastermind we can go there. So /home/mastermind /AWS CLI.zip. That is how you get there. That's the full absolute path to that location. When you do an ls, what's so important about doing that ls is it shows you what you have access to. I can write from my current location, okay? From this current location of /home/mastermind, from here, I only have immediate access to the things that are here. So I could, we haven't learned that yet, but this is the stuff that I have immediate access to. It's right here. It's right under me. I can access it directly because it's the next node in the tree. It's the next space in the tree that I can get to. Okay, so ls shows you what is in the current directory that you're currently in. It lists out all the files and all the directories that are there. There we go. So pwd ls, pwd, find out where you are, ls, show me what is currently here at this location. Next up, let's move around, okay? We know where we are, so we know how to figure out where we are, and we know how to figure out what is here. So we know how to get there, we know how to know where we are, and we know how to see what is currently where we are. How do we move into a new place? How do we move to a new directory on the tree? Well, the way that we do that is with the cd command, change directory. The way to move to a new directory is to change directory. And so the way that you use the change directory command, I got it. That is why, okay. That is why I put this slide in here now. On occasion, been watching you for a while. Do you happen to be looking for work? I'm not looking for work. It's funny when people ask me that. I am not looking for work. But whenever people ask me that, I'm always so intrigued just to know what the opportunity is. Just a curiosity thing. If you feel free to shoot it my way. You never know what's going to happen, but I'm not looking for work right now. But like I said, feel free to share it with me. I know other DevOps engineers. I know other SREs, stuff like that. You know, if your company is looking for something, or you have a project or something you're looking for people to work on, I can share that out to them as well. So, you know, feel free to share it with me. Cool. The reason I put this arguments thing here, I remember when I did this actually, and I knew it wasn't going to make sense to me when the time came. The commands, when you're issuing a command from the command line, let's actually break this down a little bit. We are doing two things, okay? When I typed in, so pwd and ls are the command. All right, so pwd is simply the command. When I type in ls, it's the command. This is the actual command, and surprisingly, these are little tools. They're little applications. Okay, these commands that we're entering, they're little applications actually that do certain things. This is the first thing that you type is the actual command. But commands also take other items in to change what they do. So pwd works alone as its own command. ls works alone by itself as its own command. But not every command does that. Some commands need other information to run properly. And that is why I put this in here. These are called arguments. These are called arguments. Arguments, options, flags, they are different things, but I want to lump them together now so you understand what they are. They can be passed into to a command or used with a command at runtime. So when you actually issue the command, you can add extra information. Sometimes these are positional parameters, meaning the location of the argument matters. So what we're saying here is that sometimes there's more information that needs to be passed in to change what a command does, and this is often the case. And so that is the case with the cd command. We're learning how to change directory. The way that we change a directory is we cd, and then we put in the path to where we want to move to. We can put in, it doesn't matter if we put in the relative or absolute path. It doesn't matter at all. The computer doesn't care. If you want to go somewhere, if you know the relative path, you can put it in. If you know the absolute path, you can put it in. Again, it's always safe to use the absolute path. There are some programs and things where it's weird when you use the relative path, but all good either way. But that is the input. That is the argument right here, okay? So cd is the command, and then it takes a parameter. So AWS right here is a directory. This is a directory that exists inside of here. If I want to move into it, I can cd into AWS. You can see here there's no slash. There's no slash in front of AWS. This is, even though this is immediately accessible to me, this is a relative path. AWS is to get into AWS from where I am right now, I can go directly into it. So I can cd AWS. And when I do that, I'm now in a new place. And how do I know that I'm in a new place? How do we know where we're at? pwd will show you that now I'm in home, mastermind, AWS, whereas before I was in home, mastermind. So I changed from the directory that I was in to new directory. And the way that I did that is using the cd command, which stands for change directory. And then I gave it the file path. I could have also done this. I'm gonna go back to where I was. So I'm at home mastermind. I could also do cd/home mastermind AWS, because that's the absolute path to where I need to go to. And when I do pwd, it still works. I still end up in the same place. Okay, let's say I go back twice. From here, I'm no longer in the mastermind directory, and AWS is not available to me. I'm in /home, okay? The AWS directory is not available to me. But, so if I try to do cd AWS, if I try to cd AWS, doesn't work. It says, hey, I don't know what that is. From here, I don't know where any file directory called AWS, because it's not the next node on the file system tree. So to get there relative to where I am now, I have to first go into mastermind, and then I can go into AWS. I can do it in one fell swoop, but you've got to know where the file location is. And then I can go in there and do pwd, and now I'm still here. So if you want to change directory, you type in cd, and then you put in the path to where you want to go. Either absolute or relative, doesn't really matter. Posting it here, but happy to talk offline, absolutely. I'll pull that up and put it here. Ooh, for DOD, not gonna lie, not a fan of DOD stuff. But hey, maybe. Just an aside, if you want to see all the flags, arguments, and command with a description, you can use the man command. Yep, we're about to talk about the man command. Does local storage work the same? What do you mean by work the same? Because yes, it works the same. You save stuff in the directory that you want to save it in, and it saves. We will. I think we do some of that today. That's the ad the Amazon recruiter called my mom about for no reason. That's funny. I definitely, especially after Amazon raised that base salary, I might be with it. 6 years to the U.S. government, don't recommend. I've done some, like I said, that company Fearless that I told you all about, government contracting. The government is doing some cool things in a lot of spaces nowadays. They're trying to get modern, and the problems that you're solving, it can be pretty cool. You just got to be careful about where you're going. But there's a lot of government initiatives to modernize because they have to. We're so behind. And so there's some fun to be had, though. There's definitely some fun to be had, and there's some money to be made. Like, these contracts are getting bigger and bigger. What is the command to create AWS on my terminal? If you're trying to download the AWS CLI, I think if you type in !AWS CLI, it'll take you to it. You can't create AWS, but you can download the CLI if you want to. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Lots of fun to be had. Yeah. Come on, go back over to, why isn't it moving? Escape. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so CD. So 3 commands right now. pwd, which tells you your present working directory. That's exactly how you find out where you are at any given time. You can always find out where you are. And if you know where you are, you can always figure out how to get to where you need to be. Think like MapQuest, okay? Think about, back in the day, you had to use a map. As long as you know where you are and you got a map, you know where to go. I'll show you how to get that map in a few. But pwd, find out where you are, and then you can move from there. Whoa, what's happening here? Okay, cool. So you learn pwd, then you learn ls. So I moved to a new location, I moved to a new directory, and I want to know what's there so I can see what's next, what nodes are next on the file system tree. Ls will allow me to see what's there. It'll tell me what I can access. It'll tell me what I can go to from there. And if I want to move into a directory, I use the cd command, and then I provide the directory that I would like to move into. All right, let's go to the next command. All right, if you want to move backwards, if you want to move back up the tree, this is where you use cd ... Sometimes we need to go back up the hierarchy. So everything starts at root, and then there are branches built off of root. Everything's built off of root. If you follow the path, you're moving forward. If you ever need to go backwards, if you ever need to go back up the tree, you use a dot dot. So cd dot dot takes you backwards one directory, okay? cd dot dot takes you back one directory. So let's see that in action. And I'll show you what's happening here. I'm gonna go back to my home directory and I'll clear it out. So right now, where am I? I'm in /home mastermind. So I'm in / and then let's say I'm in /home and I'm in mastermind. If I want to get backwards up the tree, if I want to get into this home directory, the way that I do it is with the cd command, but dot dot, that will move me back up one. It'll take you back up one. So if I do pwd again, I'm in home. If I run cd dot dot one more time, does anyone know where I will be? Does anyone know the location that I'll be at? Once I finally learned how to find in Linux, my life was forever changed. I agree. Once you learn how to find what you need, that's one of the hardest parts, is to figure out how to find what you need. It does make everything easier. But if I were to go back one more time, so currently I've gone from here to here. Whoops. I've gone from here to here. And if I go back one more time, you all got it. 100%. I will be in the root. It'll take me back to /. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. And I'm going to cd dot dot. And if I do a pwd, I am in the root of the file system. Okay, so if you ever don't know what the file system looks like, you can always there are better ways. I'm going to show you the tree command. I'm going to show you some other things, but you can always go to the root of the system. And how do I see what's here? I do an ls, and so these are all of the directories that are where I'm at now. So if you actually look at this side by side with, let's say, clear. There we go. If you look at this side by side with the one of these diagrams that I gave you, you'll start to see that these directories are the same. You know, bin, sbin, temp, var, proc, all that stuff. If I go back over here, look at it. Etsy, dev, home, bin, lib. And there's other ones here, but sbin, temp, var, proc should be in here. Is proc not in here? Yeah, proc right here. You can see that these directories are all here. Right now, it's not presented to you in a good way. ls by default does not present to you in a way that I find meaningful. But you know, that's the command. So I'm going to give you your first flag. So arguments for the cd command was the directory that you want to move to. If you want to get a little fancy with the ls command, you can do an ls space -l. So this is a flag, okay? This will allow you to pass in optional parameters to change what the command does. And I'll show you how to find out what those options are a little bit later. But when you do it, this is for a long listing. So when I do ls by default, it just shows me everything. A long listing actually gives me a ton more information that you don't know about yet. And so this may be more confusing to you, okay? Maybe not. For some of you, seeing all this is like, oh, but it gives you all the directories right here really, really nicely. You might see me do, out of habit, you might see me do an LL, okay? This is an alias for, actually, I don't even know what my, let me see. Yes, so when I run LL, it's actually running this command right here, ls-alf. We'll talk about some of those things, but one that I do like is that F on the end. All right, can someone tell me what they see different about this? I'm gonna do ls-l, take a look at it for a second. And actually, let me move into a different directory that has less stuff. Let's go into var, maybe? Yeah, a little bit less stuff. There we go. Let's do an ls-l first. Someone tell me if you can see how this changed. So this is the ls-l up here, and this is the ls-f right here. What's up, Squaremo? Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for the raid. Everybody from Squaremo, come on in. Come on in. Say hello. Good to see you. We're just learning a little bit of Linux. This is part 2 of a 7-part Linux series. We are learning how to navigate on the command line. Yeah. So that's what we're doing today. Welcome. Come on in. I hope you all were having had a great stream, having a good time. Yeah. Yes, F joins so yes, F allows us to easily see the folders. Okay, so these are little changes, but it's amazing how it affects your ability to be able to move through the Linux command line more easily. When I do just the long listing, by default, it gives me, a listing of the things that are here with some other information. We'll talk about that. But yes, with the -F, this is something that I like a lot, and it was pretty interesting. The first system that I started using the LL command on had the alias that included this, and then I moved to a system that didn't, and I didn't realize how much it would bother me not having it. But this / the F appends the file type basically, so all the directories are now appended with a /, so I can easily see what stuff there is a directory. If it's a directory, that means we can move into it, okay? So that means if I'm trying to figure out where to go, and I don't know where I want to be, and I'm in a var, I can say, okay, I can CD into any of these things except for, no, everything, actually. Yeah, all of these are directories. Everything that's here is a directory, and so that means I can CD into any of them. All right, and then I do a PWD. Now I'm in var mail, and if I do an ls, it looks like this. There's nothing in here. So there probably is. No, okay, there's nothing in here. So I'll go back one, and we'll take a look again. So that's an ls, ls-l. Some people will tell you to do an ls-al or la. That's good too. The -a, what it does is, if you've ever heard of hidden files on a system, there can be files that are actually hidden. And ls-la shows all files, hidden and unhidden. So if I do, let me try one. Let me go somewhere where there might be a hidden file, which is my home folder. All right, there we go. So if I do an ls/lahf, right here, see these files with a dot? These are all hidden files. If I just do an ls or an ls-l, notice how you don't see these things. So hidden files in Linux start with a dot. It's something we'll talk about later, but I figure I'll give it to you now. But ls has a bunch of different permutations. I'll show you how to do it. Right now, all you need to know is ls is how I list the items that are in the current directory that I'm in. I like that SCP command. All right, so what do we have now? So that is the, so we did ls, we did cd, cd dot dot. So if you want to move back up the tree one, cd dot dot. Let's say you want to add a new directory. Let's say you want to add to the file system. You want to create a new branch in the file system, a new directory that you can move into. The way that you do it is with the mkdir command, Mkdir, okay? Make a directory, mkdir, and then you give it the name of the directory. This is something that's important here. Remember, everything in Linux is a file. We're going to make this directory where we currently are, but think about those Linux file paths. If you know a file path, you can pass in that information anywhere. So let's say I was in the root of the system, but I wanted to make a folder that was all the way in the var log messages directory, even though it's an actual file. Let's say there was a var log and stream. Let's say it was a var log stream folder. If I want to make another directory inside of that stream folder, I could make it from anywhere on the computer as long as I knew the relative or absolute file path to get there. So it doesn't really matter. Like I see a lot of people work with Linux, and they basically move to where they want something to happen, and then they do it there. That's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can do things from anywhere as long as you know the file path of where you want to do it to. So mkdir, make directory. Let's say I do and actually this might help too. Now that we're doing something like this, you can also, if you have Linux desktop, or if you're in your Mac right now, you can use your File Explorer or Finder to help you understand what's happening here too. Whoops. Oh, actually on Windows, this is not gonna be as helpful, but it might be if I do Explorer. Yeah, well, cool. All right, so over here is the visual indicator of what is things are looking like over here. If I do an ls-la and make it smaller, I basically have the same stuff listed here that I have over here. If I want to make a new directory, we said that command is called mkdir. So mkdir is the command, okay? Mkdir takes in one argument, and the argument is the name of the directory you would like to create. So let's say I want to create a directory called stream example, stream-example. All right, I'm going to hit this. I'm going to hit enter, and I want you to take a look at the right side. I want you to take a look at the file explorer on the right. It didn't do anything because this is Windows. But if I refresh it, notice that this file is here. The things that I'm doing in the command line are I'm doing it to the same computer. This isn't a special place. I'm interacting with the computer just like if I would have right-clicked. Let's say I right-click and I go to right-click and new. I'm gonna create a new folder over here, and I'm gonna do GUI folder. I'll call it GUI folder. And when I hit enter, when I do an ls-l, now I'll see GUI folder right here. So I'm still interacting with the computer in the same way. I'm just, instead of clicking around and using the graphical user interface, I am actually issuing commands to do the thing that I want to do. So mkdir is how you make a directory. And because I made that stream example folder, I can cd directly into stream example, and I can look around in here. When I do an ls, there's nothing in here. I just made it. There's nothing in here at all. Mac is opendir, or oh yeah, for current, yes. I do think open works by default on all Macs. So if you ever want to see, if you're working in Linux and you have a desktop equivalent, like if you're in Linode, that open command won't work to be able to see these things. But if you're on your desktop, if you type in open on Mac, open space dot, it will open up wherever you are at on the command line. It'll open up a Finder window so that you can see what's there if you want to see it. I believe open is an alias. Oh, it might be. I'm not sure either. You can also use it to like open up your browser and other stuff. Like, yeah. Cool. So mkdir is how we make a new directory. And the other thing I'm going to tell you about right now is tab completion. Before we get to the next part, tab completion. Let's talk about that real fast. So you might have seen me start to type some things. Let's say actually I want to get back to where I am now. So where am I at right now? I'm in home, mastermind, stream example. Let me make another few directories. I'm going to make another directory in here inside of stream example called test1. I'm going to go into test1. I'm going to create another directory in test1 called test2. And I'm going to make another directory in here in test2 with a bunch of letters like this. Oh, whoops. I'm going to make another directory with a bunch of letters. And I'm going to go into there. And I'm going to make another directory with a bunch of letters. Okay, and I'm gonna go into there. Okay, look at where I currently am on this computer. I'm deep into the computer. I'm in /home /mastermind /stream example /test1 /test2 /this one / all these other ones. Okay, I'm deep into the computer, and you might say, "Oh, that sucks. I got to type in all that stuff." Let's say I'm gonna move to the root of the computer, so I'm gonna cd /. Remember, / is the root. So I'm going to go to the root of the computer. If I want to get all the way back to this location, it would suck to type that in, wouldn't it? I think it would really suck to have to type that in. Well, let's talk about Linux tab completion really quick. Or this works on or Unix tab completion. I can get there very fast by doing this. What is this? Stream example, test1. Look at that. Look how fast I was able to get there. I was able to type that in super quick. And you all already saw that I'm not the fastest typer in the world. And you might say, how in the world was he able to type so fast? Mastermind, stream example. How did he do that so quickly? And that is because of something called tab completion. What tab completion does is it allows us to easily finish file paths or sometimes file names and things from the command line. This saves us time from typing. This is not something you will become good at. Something for you to check out the stream. The audio's a bit out of sync. Just have a second. Oh, interesting. I wonder what happened. It wasn't in the beginning because I was monitoring it. I'll definitely check that out. Thanks for the heads up. Definitely will check that out. That's annoying. Very annoying. I wonder if something happened. But what that is tab completion. So what you're allowed to do is you are able to match, the computer is able to match the words that you're trying to type. So right now, if I look at what directories are available to me right now, look at these things here. If I type in, if you go to your root directory, so I want you to go to cd/ if you can. If you're here, if I type in cd, and let's say I was trying to go into my home directory. Home is right here. I'm trying to go into my home directory. If I hit an H and hit the tab key, it fills in the rest of the word for me, including the slash at the end, denoting that that's the full path for the directory, so I can start typing more things. The reason it's able to do this if I type in H is because home is the only possible thing it could be. It couldn't be anything else in here. If I typed in H and hit tab, the only place I could be trying to go is to home. Okay? If I try to type in L, let's say I'm trying to go into lib64. If I type in L and I hit tab, nothing happens. The reason that nothing happens is because there are multiple options of places for me to go. It doesn't know which one I want. There's lib, there's lib64, there's lib32, there's libx32. So you must give it enough characters for it to know what you want. It will also do some interesting things. I'll show you something in a second. It'll also do some other interesting things. But right now, it's not doing anything. If I hit tab again, I'm using, is this bash? Let me see. I actually don't know what shell I'm using. Okay, this is bash. And actually, I think this didn't used to be a thing in old bash. But if I did L, and if I hit tab twice, it will give me all of my options. The only things that match L are these things. So it'll give me all of my options. Let's say I do an I. Watch what it does. I typed in I. Watch what it does when I hit tab. It fills in a B. And the reason why I filled in a B is because once I filled in I, every other option with an L and an I follows up with a B. The next character they differ at is the one after the B. So I have to give it enough characters to make it unique. So I typed in L, didn't work. I gave it an I, it gave me a B because now it knows for sure that we're not using this. It knows for sure. As soon as I put in that I, it says, cool, I know you're not using this, and there's no difference between all these up until this character, so it gives me the B. And let's say I'm trying to go into X32. If I hit X and hit tab, it now knows what I'm trying to go into, and it fills it all in for me. Nice. So if I were to do an L again and hit tab, nothing. But there's only one lost and found. There's only one LO. So if I do an O and hit tab, it knows to fill in lost and found for me. So you must give it enough characters for it to be unique. And so if I go into /home and I look inside of /home, there's only one directory. So if I type in CD, and if there's only one directory, if I hit tab, it's going to fill in the only directory it can go into for me. And inside of Mastermind, I think there's only one more directory. Oh, there's not. So if I hit tab twice, I can see. So inside of there, I went into stream example, and I literally all I typed was S. So I typed it. These are all the things that are in the Mastermind directory. The only one that starts with an S is stream example. If I want to go into GUI folder, I can go into GUI folder with if I type G and hit tab, GUI folder is what it fills in for me. Almost like a small for loop checking characters. Yeah, yes, very much so. It's just a little fancier than that, but yeah, like a small for loop checking folders. Yeah, checking folder names, and it's super duper helpful. It's incredibly helpful. It's not something that you will do a lot in the very beginning. It'll take time to kind of get the muscle memory down for it. But once you do, when you see people working in Linux and they're working super fast, it's because they've learned tips and tricks like this. And so don't feel bad. We're not all master typers. And, again, I'm terrible at typing. This is part of the reason. Part of the reason why I'm terrible at typing is because I've been using Linux for a long time and I didn't have to type in everything. I just had to hit tab and it filled it all in for me, which is super nice. But it checks the characters. You've got to give it enough unique characters to let it know what it is. And so if you try to fill something in, it's also helpful because if I'm expecting a directory to be here, if I'm like, in home, there should be a directory called James. And I type in James and I'm like hitting tab a bunch because I'm like, it should be here and it doesn't fill in. It's because there's not one here, and it immediately kind of lets me know, that there's not something here. So that's tab completion. I want you to know about it. If you can remember while you're trying to mess around, go ahead and hit the character, but it will take you a long time. The tip and trick that took me a long time to discover was reverse search. Best one. We're gonna learn all these commands, but you can actually see all the commands that you've run by typing in history. And so history will show you a list of all the commands that you've run, so you can actually let's say I wanted to cd back into this directory, I could rerun whatever command. Let's say I wanted to rerun pwd that I ran up here. I could just type it in. But some cool things you can do in Linux are I can do !117 and it'll rerun the command at history line 117, which is cool. But the reverse history search is amazing. And I learned this relatively late to the game. I think I learned this maybe 4 years ago, and I use it all the time. I use it almost every day. Let's say you're running a bunch of commands. Let's say you're running some things, you're working through something, you're fixing something, whatever, and you need to run a command again. If you hit Control R, it goes into a reverse history search. So it starts at your most recent history. And if I start typing in CD commands, let's say I knew there was a long CD command, but I forgot where that path was. You type in CD, and I can start typing in the file path if I want. Or I can keep hitting Control R to cycle through all the CD commands that I ran, and I can hit it again. I can just hit enter to run that command. It is super duper helpful. It does take a while to incorporate into your workflow. It is so nice to be able to like look up. Basically, you're just very quickly looking up a command that you already ran. And so there's a lot of workflows that I do, like in Linux. Sometimes when you're setting stuff up, you'll copy and paste a lot. And, you don't always know. You're messing around. You're putting together long commands to do certain things to gather information. And if you need to regather that information, you can just pull it right back up and find it very easily. It's nice. How many commands does your history save? That's actually a great question. I know there's a bunch of options for defining how much it saves. You can have it save session. Sometimes, like, I'm pretty sure if I close this, it actually will. I think WSL holds on to it. I think it holds on to a certain amount. I mean, it can get well into the thousands. I actually don't know about any limits. I don't know what it can get to. Usually it cuts off. I think by default it has like a. I don't know if it cuts off by time. It's actually a really good question. I don't know. But I've been well into the thousands, not history. And so sometimes it holds in between sessions. And so if you have multiple like terminals open, one thing that was super confusing to me the very first time is I didn't understand the concept of sessions in your terminal. And I would run some commands over here and then they wouldn't be in the history for the one over here. And so that's something to be wary of. Like, don't rely on the history because it might not be there. It really might not be there. Arrow up and down are useful as well. That is something that's super helpful. If you just ran a command, like I just ran history, if I wanted to run it again, all you got to do is press the up arrow. And you can keep pressing up, and up cycles backwards through all the commands. It's literally going up this list every time I hit up. So that's how you can recall a command that you just did. If you weren't sure what you just did, or if you ran a command that didn't work and you need to change something about it, you can just hit up and change what you need to change and go ahead and hit enter. That's a very helpful command as well. It is. All right. Let's talk about these two, and then I'll teach, and then we'll dive back into some of these commands a little bit deeper, so that you can learn a little bit more about them, and we'll do a little bit more practice, and then we'll get out of here. So not many more minutes. So some CLI concepts, command flags. We've already done a little bit with this, with the -L, the dash, the -A, the -F. But commands are cool, but sometimes we need to be specific. Flags allow us to modify the behavior or output of a command. They allow us to do different things. We saw it with the ls command. Flags are prefixed by a dash. Okay, so if you see a dash, you're passing in a flag, and it changes what the command will do. It changes the output of the command. It changes the way that's going to be processed. The other thing is, I'll show you some flags in a second, but I think that part is super useful with this part here. How the heck do I know what flags are available? How the heck do I know what to do with these commands? Like, yes, sure, Aaron is sitting here and he's telling us a few commands. We learned 5 or 6 commands today, but like, how do I know what there is to do? How do I know how to use this stuff? Well, the first thing you do is you Google it, okay? I know that might sound crazy, but Google it. Google it is the first thing, especially as a newcomer to this stuff. Googling the command is going to be more helpful to you than these other options. It's not the right answer, but it's going to be the answer that's most useful for you right now. The next part is to read the manual. And I know that sounds crazy, but reading the manual, reading technical documentation, to me, I will argue with people to the end of days for this. This is an intermediate skill. This is not, I despise when people tell juniors to go read the docs. I hate it. When people, new learners, people early careers, please stop telling them to go read the docs. Now, don't let that be the only answer you give them. I do agree. It's something you should say, hey, get into the practice of going to read the documentation. Most people don't do it. Yes, read the documentation, but again, parsing technical documentation is an intermediate skill. And so that's not going to be the first thing I tell you to do right now. Google it first. Google will likely give you some better consumable answers. Then reading the manual. There are manuals for these commands, and we can get to them using the man command. And these are called man pages. Okay, so let's take a look really quick at a man. Let's take a look at a man page. So I'm going to do man. And then you type in the command that you would like to read the manual for. So let's start with something like pwd. All right, this one should be relatively short, which is going to be helpful. But it's all in the command line. And so this, again, there's a lot to this. Your eyes have to learn how to read through walls of text, and you're going to have to start to understand the sections and where the information is. It can be tough. Oh yeah, explain shell is good. So is too long didn't read. There's a plugin I'll show you, or an application that allows you to get better answers than what we're getting here, but I think it's still valuable. Know it exists. Know what it's for, even if you don't read. Yeah, I agreed. So the first thing that you'll get in a man page is the name, which is pwd, and then you'll get a little description, which is usually pretty helpful. Print name of current working directory. Nice. That's helpful. It tells me exactly what it does. Gives you a little synopsis here. You type in the command and then you pass in an option. Here are some options, descriptions. Print out the full file name of the current working directory. That's what this thing does. But then if we pass in some options, so we can do a -L here, capital L. Use pwd from environment, even if it contains symlinks. Now, most of these, this is part of the reason why technical documentation be tough. They often use a lot of words and phrases that you might not know about yet at all, which sucks. It makes it hard to understand what it's actually doing. Dash capital P, avoid all symlinks. You don't know about symbolic links yet. You'll learn about symlinks next class. What's up, Metal and Coffee? Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, Raiders. I'll give you a minute or two to get past the ads, because I've been watching some streams lately. Twitch has gotten real ad aggressive. They've gotten real ad aggressive. So definitely I'll let you all get past that, and then you can come in and you can learn about what we're doing. But thank you so much for the raid. I hope you had a great stream today. What were you doing over there? Were you having a good time? What's up, Gap Brain? Welcome, welcome. uBlock Origin, yeah. So that's something else I struggle with. I try not to use ad blockers because it makes people money. You can seriously block. You can block all the ads for me. I don't care. This is not where I get my income from. But you know, I try not to, but it gets super annoying. Like that's why I pay for YouTube Premium, because I can't do it. Twitch gets around ad blockers. But they're gonna have to do something, or we're gonna have to figure something out, because they've been super aggressive. But welcome everybody from Metal and Coffee. Hopefully you're past any ads that were thrown your way. If you want to learn a little bit of Linux, we're on a 7-part Linux series, Linux command line series. So just learning how to, this is a much longer DevOps anthology course. So we're gonna be diving into a bunch of DevOps concepts throughout this course: CI/CD, containerization, some systems administration stuff. But we're starting out with Linux. So yeah. So welcome. Glad to catch your stream. Just was working on music related Next.js app. Dope. I need to come watch that. I like Next.js a lot, and I'm actually working on a few projects that I'm considering doing, moving to Next.js, but I just haven't had time to really dive into it. So I might need to come on over and learn a little bit. Maybe you can help me get started. That would be great, because I'm not a web developer, but I've done web development. It's so hard. Out of all the things that I ever do, like any web stuff is so hard for me. Web dev stuff, it's not hard. It's just, I flail around a lot. It takes me a lot longer to like get things implemented, but you know, one day I'll be, maybe I'll be good one day. But that's dope. All right, so these flags are here. There's a lot here. This one is very short. This is a short man page. So PWD has a very short man page. Let's do a man on LS. The LS man page, I think, is a lot longer. The way that you move to this man page is with your keys. So you can use arrow keys. Use arrow keys for now. Or you can use the J and K key to go up and down. And the way that you get out of the man page is to hit Q for quit. But LS, list directory contents. That is what it does. Okay, but look how many flags it has. Look how many options. -A is for all. We use this one. This says do not ignore entries starting with dot. Dot entries are hidden files. It's saying don't ignore them, print them all out. Or you can go down -A, almost all. Do not list implied dot and dot dot. And you don't, there's so many of these. -C, list entries by columns. You know what? I'm gonna do that one. I've never done that one. Let's do a -C. Let's do this one right here, and let's see what kind of columns they're talking about, because I have no idea what they're talking about. Let's do LS-L FC. Let's do an A as well. Oh, hold on. Let me take off the L. Same thing, because the C, I think the C overrides it. What does it look like without it? Looks the same. I don't know what that does. I have no idea what that does. Why did it override the L? Okay, well, there we go. So if I want to run man ls again, it did that. That doesn't seem like it's gonna be helpful for me. List entry by columns. It seems like that might be a default option for ls. But you can see how these commands have tons of options. Okay, these are little programs. This is why Linux can be so overwhelming to learn. because there's a lot of stuff like this, and people normally are like, whoa, like they'll see a command that has a bunch of flags and this and that, and knowing what to put there is difficult to know. What I will say is there's a core set of commands that you need to know to get around to get things done. We'll start by learning those. Those are things that we're going to focus on, and you'll start to pick up flags over time. It's just something that takes time. You'll learn a lot of common flags, and then you'll get into a space where you're comfortable enough to start going to look for these things on your own. You'll say, hey, I would really like to do this thing, and don't go off. I would recommend not going off looking up flags unless you know you want to achieve something. If you're like, oh, this output, I don't like the way that all this information is output, let me see if there's an option to change the output, then go look for that thing. Or if you come across a tutorial, I would say another way to start to cement some of the flags as you're going through tutorials for things. People will use flags for all kinds of stuff. Look up the flags as you're using them. So as someone tells you to paste in this command that has these flags, look up that command, hit up the man page for Mkdir, and look for the flag that you see in the tutorial and find out what that thing does. That's what helped me. But yeah, you'll get to the point where you start looking into it a little bit deeper when you need to look into it. But yeah, man pages are how you do that. There are some other options. Explainshell.com. I always forget about explainshell.com. It's a good one. This will help you know these things as well. So even if I do another ls, very simple. It doesn't give me all of the crap. It just tells me exactly what it does. I know what this higher level command does. If I do Mkdir, it makes directories. Very, very easy. If I do cd, changes the working directory. This is a good website to tell you exactly what you need to know about the command. Okay, it just basically is giving you back the description. Yeah. But Googling, again, Googling helps. Sometimes you'll look up stuff. You'll say, hey, Linux ls command uses or something like that. You'll throw in something and you will find a number of articles that'll show you exactly how to do some stuff. So like I said, look at this. This is a whole article on Free Code Camp about the ls command. That is generally going to be more useful to you as a learner for these things, to kind of find out how to do exact things. This is also something that the tool Too Long Didn't Read, TLDR Linux. This is still a man page. It's still going to give you back a man page, but when you use it, it gives you back better options. It says, hey, if you want to use this tool in this way, this is the command you run with the right flags. And so it's a little bit easier. It's a little bit more useful than a normal man page because it gives you actual things that you might want to do with it, and it bundles those into the command that it's giving you for it. Still helpful, but still I also think a little bit overwhelming. Yes, searching through man pages does help a lot. This is again, this is why it's an intermediate concept. But if you wanted to find something, let's say I wanted to look at the man ls command, and I wanted to find something I was looking for using a slash. I typed in the /. You can see it started typing down here, and I can use that to start searching for something. So I know the word column is in here somewhere, and so I'm gonna type in column, and I'm gonna hit enter, and it starts to take me through all of the iterations of column. And I can hit N to go to the next one, and to the next one, and to the next one. And so, yeah, the slash will allow you to begin to search through this documentation. But again, I think, that can still be very difficult. You don't always know what you're searching for, but that does help a lot. If you know a command does something, the slash helps you kind of get around. There's a number of shortcuts in a man page to kind of search around and to parse it better. And we'll definitely learn some of that stuff. So we'll revisit. These commands, if you're trying to quickly navigate through directories quickly, these commands are a must. Push D, pop D. Hold on. Are you playing with me? Push. What is that? Oh, okay. I think you're. All right. I was like, I've never heard those in my life, ever. Are y'all talking about something different? I haven't been paying attention at all to that, so I hope. Oh yeah, CD minus is a great one. Is push D is bash built in? Huh? I've never heard of this in my life, and I'm on bash. Never heard of it in my life. Are y'all messing with me? Oh, batch. Okay, so you're talking about yeah. Okay. I was like, wait, I don't know. Let me get out of here. Okay. I'm gonna learn about that. You didn't bash it. SESH? I've never. I'll have to look those up. I never even heard of those. I was like, man, I'm learning something. I mean, I did learn something new. I didn't know about those before, but I was like, Linux. Are you inside Vim or Emacs when you search for a man page? When you're a man page, you are in less, more. Hold on, let me. You're in. I'm pretty sure you're in less. Pretty sure this is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the same thing as like. What do I have around here that I can look at? Is there anything in here? AWS probably has something in it. Yeah, I think you're in less. Pretty sure you're in maybe not. Or a less type program. I don't know. But this is less. You're not in. It's not in. You're not editing it, so it's not in Vim. Definitely not Emacs. Maybe it's a special wrap around the man page, but feels like less. Never really thought about that either. That's a good question. Really good question. It has a lot of Vim-esque. It does have a lot of Vim-esque features, but so does less. So that's why I'm assuming it's something like less. Let's see. Bash manual, built-ins, pop-d. When no arguments are given, pop removes the top directory from the stack and performs CD into the new top directory. That's amazing. DIRS. Yeah, I've never heard of it. This is great. I would have loved this. I could have definitely used these. Never used them before. That's learn something new. I'm actually going to dig into this because now I'm very, very interested. Huh. I got to add that to my what I learned today. I like that a lot. Okay. I think that's everything. So, tangible takeaways. What I want you to get at today. What I want you to go back and take a look at. There's a quiz this week, so quiz will be dropping at the end of class. Some of the quiz, don't worry about passing. Well, worry about the questions that are from this week. There are some questions from next week as well in this quiz. That's okay. I didn't want to pull them because I think it's going to help you a little bit. But go through some of those things. But focus on. Let me tell you what to focus on. So, tangible takeaways for what we learned today. One. All you got to know is that the file system, Linux file system, is a tree-like structure, and that every Linux file system starts with a // It starts with slash. That is the root of every Linux system. Understanding that there's a difference between a graphical user interface and a command line interface, and knowing that when you're interacting with your computer from the command line, all you're doing is submitting commands. Are you doing submitting commands to it rather than clicking on things? Knowing about shells is cool, not crazy essential right now, but just understanding that there are different shells, and those shells are the things that are taking in the command that you're passing in and interpreting it, and providing output, and that different shells have different abilities, have different features that you can use. The big thing you need to remember is about file pathing. Okay, how do you navigate? The way that you navigate is you got to know where things are on the tree, and absolute file paths are the full file paths starting at the root of the system, starting at slash. Okay, the way that you know that it's an absolute file path is that it starts with a // That's how you know. Starts at the root of the system. A relative file path is how you navigate somewhere relative to where you are right now. That's the real big concept that I want you to walk away with today. Then we learned a few commands. We learned how to know where we are on the command line, or in the directory tree with the pwd command. We learned how to list and see what's in the current directory with the ls command. We learned how to move into new directories on the tree with the cd command, and then telling it where we want to go. We also learned that you can add to the hierarchy. You can make a new directory on the tree with the mkdir command, so mkdir, make directory. And then we learned a little bit about tab completion, which again is a little bit extra. It's not something you need to know for sure. It's just, hey, if you want to save some time, we can do some pattern matching with tab and save us some time from typing. And then we talked about flags a little bit, that each command can be modified by passing in a flag. And the way that we can see those flags and to know what commands do is by utilizing man pages. Google first, as we're beginning, Google. When you Google, people will usually show you a number of different ways to do the things, but a man page is how we can do that, by typing in the man command and then the name of the command that we want to get information about. You will get lots of practice with this. You'll get a quiz this week, but you'll get your first practice homework assignment next week when you've gotten a little bit more Linux. This week, if I had given you something, it would literally, you would just be like, make a directory, move into it, make another directory, move into it, move backwards. And so starting with next week, we're going to be learning about user and group management and permissions. You'll have a suite of things that you've seen, and then the homework that you'll get will walk you through a couple of actually realistic scenarios, and you can start to practice navigating your machine, navigating the file system, seeing what's there. I'll also give to you some file system commands that help, that you can add, things like tree, which doesn't come by default on most systems. But what tree does is allow you to visually see what that directory structure looks like, which can be pretty helpful. And it shows you what's inside of what. A really good tool to visually see what's going on. I'll give you a number of things tools that help you navigate the command line better. Don't want to overwhelm you. It can be pretty overwhelming. Focus conceptually on the things that we talked about today. Definitely absolute versus relative is the biggest thing. And then go through and memorize. Usually I don't tell you to memorize, but memorize the few commands that we talked about today. Know that we have pwd and then ls, pwd, ls. So how many is that? pwd, ls, cd, mkdir, and man. We'll learn 5 commands. pwd, how do I know where I am? Or print working directory. ls, list all of the contents of this directory. cd, change directory. Mkdir, make a new directory. Man, show me the manual for this command. 5 commands to start. In the Google Classroom, you have received some options. You received some material that'll help you a little bit. One is with the, not classwork, what dropped? Slides. This is the slides section. There we go. The file system and structure. There's a video that will go a little bit deeper into the Linux file system, which will help. Then there's also these manual references. So there's a really good Pluralsight tutorial thing that takes you through some beginner Linux stuff. But it's a really good manual workbook guide to navigating the command line. The other one is more of just a good cheat sheet for commands that'll start to add to your Linux knowledge. You can download it from here. Tons of commands that we haven't learned yet. This will be helpful throughout the course. It'll tell you, where stuff is. We're going to be learning most of these commands, to be 100% honest. And so I just want to give it to you right up front for you to get that. Yep, ! Linux Classroom will allow you to join this Google Classroom that has this information inside of it. Like I said, the quiz will be dropping in a second. I had to make some changes to it. So I'm going to do that as soon as we close down the stream. And you can take that. But next week, what are we diving into? Next week, we're going to be diving into user and group management. So you'll learn how to add users to the system, remove users, how to add groups, how to work with passwords, things like that. Linux permissions. Linux permissions is usually a fun one, and file operations. So we already learned how to make a directory, but we'll learn how to make files, and we'll learn how to modify files, edit files, write into files, all that stuff. How do we do stuff? How do we work with files inside of Linux, especially when everything in Linux is a file? So that'll be pretty helpful. You'll learn a lot of commands. Like, you'll probably come out of this one with 12 to 15 new commands. Then we'll do some package stuff. The following week, process management, basic networking, and then we'll do some Linux scripting. And again, this is all to give you a base level foundational knowledge of Linux commands, because a lot of the things you should be doing with DevOps, you'll be dealing with a lot of Linux systems most of the time. Yes, Windows is a thing as well, but Linux is the choice for many servers. This stuff will really help you kind of get around and figure out what to do. There's a lot of tutorials out there to do the things that you want to do in Linux, and now you'll know what you're seeing. Now you'll know the commands that you're entering, what's happening. You'll be able to troubleshoot a lot better. Yeah, absolutely. The week is ending, which is super duper nice. I'm very excited. Go enjoy yourselves this weekend. I have a hectic weekend. I have a very hectic weekend, but it should be a good time. Tomorrow's Friday. I hope you end your week great. All about I know you can have a lot of stuff going on in your life, but it's all about perspective. Be happy. Try to be healthy. Be safe out there. Talk to each other. Have a good time. Go learn. Keep investing in yourself. I'm proud of you all. Like I said, I'll say it every single time. You're in a space that can be tough to navigate, but can be incredibly lucrative for you and your family. Create lots of opportunities. So keep going. Talk about the landscape of the industry. Yeah, I'll do that for sure. Landscape of the industry is interesting, very interesting right now. I think that. Here's my take. Yes, it is intimidating. Let me tell you why, and let me tell you why it doesn't have to be intimidating. What's happened is tech moves fast, and tech is outpacing people. It's outpacing people's abilities to get into it. We don't invest in education. We don't invest in there aren't a lot of official resources for people to go get information about these things. And so we keep making new things, new products come out, new tools, new platforms, and things moved so fast that companies decided to utilize these things. Companies are putting these things into play to be on the cutting edge, to save themselves some money, to build new things, to move things forward. But the people, there aren't the people around to support. So it's driven up salaries. Because people want you to know more and more and more, so salaries are crazy high, and it's hard to find people, and it's a wild market out there, particularly for people who have some skin in the game already, who have some years under their belt. It's a pretty amazing market for those people. But what it's also done is it's left a huge void at the bottom and the middle bottom. Like this is the huge void, and the companies are starting to feel it, and things are starting to change a bit. What's happening is salaries have been driven up. Nobody wants entry level, and that's been the case for a long time. No, people say they want entry level, but then they'll say 2 years of experience on the resume. Doesn't really make any sense, right? Even though that's still the case, companies have not done good at explaining what you really need for roles, or what it really means to be any level at any of these companies. And so there's a bunch of information out there. There's a bunch of job descriptions that have all kinds of crap on them, that have all kinds of stuff going on. And it's so hard to understand what a company really wants. Almost all of them are wrong. Every single job description has all of the tools and all of the features that everyone is desiring, but no one has all of those things. Let me say very, very few people have knowledge of all of those things. And so most people look at it and get put off, and they're like, how could anyone know all this? I'm just trying to learn the first one on the list. I'm just trying to learn JavaScript, and they have JavaScript on the same line as 13 other technologies, and there's 40 other bullets. It's hard. It's overwhelming when people write that. These are the hey, this would be really nice if you knew all of these things. And so understand, like, how people know to that companies are just putting this stuff out there. You wouldn't know unless you're in the industry, unless you're applying places, unless you're talking to people. Yeah, like they have 50, that's real. They have 50 things and they want to pay you like a junior engineer. That is true. And so it's confusing. It's so confusing. The industry is the Wild West. Like we said, it's tough to hire because there's no way to really prove that you know what you know. Like, there's no like good way to certify that I'm equipped to do this job. That makes things hard. But that is also, that curse is also it's also your gift. Most companies, I'm seriously not joking. This happens all the time. People eventually, so some people come around and listen and they're like, all right, I believe you. I'm going to apply. I learned a little bit. I'm going to apply. I said, yes, all you just need a little bit. You need a little bit and you need to be able to speak about it well. And companies are really taking bigger chances on people nowadays because they have to. Like, you're a bargain in the industry. You are an absolute bargain in the industry. If you've learned a little bit and you're asking for $70,000 or $80,000 in the U.S., you're a bargain. You're an absolute bargain, and companies are starting to take that chance a little bit. And you'd be really surprised. I'm working with somebody right now, and he was like, "Yo, I thought you were lying to me. I thought you were lying. I feel like I don't know anything." And I was like, "Okay, like I understand that you don't know a lot, but you know more than a lot of people who aren't in the industry and who are getting into the industry, and you're cheaper than someone who knows just a little bit more than you, who wants 130 or 140,000. So it makes sense. The company thought you had a good aptitude. You showed that the stuff that you know well, and he got the job, and he got the job along with another junior, and he's like, whoa, like I know more than this other guy, and it's like, yeah, like no one knows it all. That was one of the bullet points for the camp code and the camp cloud stuff. Nobody knows it all. Nobody. And it's not up to you it's not up to you to know it all. You don't have to know it all, even though they keep telling you need to know it all. You don't need to know it all. T-shaped development, T-shaped developers, T-shaped engineers. Broad at the top, just like the letter T. So you're going to learn a little bit about a lot of things so that you can get conversational, so that you can start to put the things together, because tech is broad and a lot of different technologies touch each other. Learn a little bit about a lot. You get good at one thing, one or two things. You do that over your career, and that's the way to go. You can't know all of the stuff all the time. But if you do know all the stuff, people will pay you extremely handsomely for it. They'll pay you handsomely for not knowing, for knowing one thing. They'll pay you a lot for knowing one thing. So I think the landscape it's the Wild West. To me, the landscape right now is the Wild West. And so anyone willing to put on the cowboy hat and put on the boots and to throw on the belt and bring your revolver, I think there's a space. You can find a space for yourself. But you got to be willing to put on the boots. You got to be able to, kick your spurs, hop on the horse. But it is the Wild West. So it can be scary to navigate. Spend the time. I promise you, if you spend the time, you'll find the space. You will. If you can develop and do DevOps, you're valuable. Yeah, I mean, any of the stuff. That's the thing. Like, help desk is valuable. Like get in where you fit in. Start somewhere. Like, everything's valuable. QA software testing, huge in the industry right now. People will pay you no problem $75,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year to just test their software, ensure that it works correctly. If you can do automated testing and you can write code to test code, they'll give you 150, 160, 170 easy. Okay, there's if you're not super technical and you want to do you're more in the management space and you want to lead software projects and you don't know anything about software, you can become a Scrum Master. You can become a product owner and help people build products. You can become a Scrum Master and lead Scrum and Agile teams to be able to build stuff and not know how to code or do that stuff at all and make absolutely phenomenal money, because you are directly responsible. You're somebody who's really helping the success of this project. I know entry-level Scrum Master who took the certification course, got their first job making 75, then got so good at it, took 2 jobs the next year, and they're making over $300,000 right now, and they work maybe 4 hours per day. There's so many different spaces in the industry. Some scary spaces, some not so scary spaces. Find a place, learn a little more, get in, get paid, find out what you like, move towards it. Just keep moving forward. Again, perception's everything. To me, I knew this was where I wanted to be when I was working from home, and literally, I had the opportunity to work from home a while ago. I was working for the Better Business Bureau, and we were doing big time work, but I was doing it from my house, and I would have movies. I had a big TV, I had like a 55-inch TV. I was living in a single room at the time, just me. You know, my wife was my girlfriend at the time, but she didn't live with me, and I would be in my room with a movie on the TV all day, feet kicked up, laptop on my lap, and I will be working, watching movies, watching movies. I was like, yeah, this is kind of stressful, because I was like, I will work long hours because we were going through a big data center migration and stuff. But man, it was like, this is way easier than things that I've done in the past. Yeah, it can run you down. Don't let anyone tell you that even though, you know, you're sitting at the computer and you can be in comfortable places, like mental health, super duper important, and this stuff can really mess with your head if you don't take care of yourself, to be honest. But man, like, to me, that was just, it was kind of eye-opening how, you know, I could do some things leisurely and still get stuff done and learn. And so, you know, yes, you can look at it as being very difficult, because it is difficult. Don't let anyone tell you, oh, it's so easy. No, it's not. It's hard. It'll make you feel bad about yourself. It makes you feel dumb. Nothing worse than feeling dumb. And tech will make you feel dumb a lot. But the more and more people you talk to, you realize that we're all kind of dumb, and that I'm sure many of you out there who have tons of years of experience, you would come speak to me and come work with me, and you'd be like, this dude not that, you know, you may feel a certain way about me right now. You might, this dude not that smart, and I'll say, you're right. you are correct. I'm an engineer who's seen a lot. I am absolutely not the smartest engineer out there, and I've made a lot of money doing it. I made a whole lot of money doing it, and I've seen people with minimal skills make more money than me, have more opportunities than me. And so, you know, yes, be the best that you can be. Yes, work hard, try to know as much as you can know. But what I'm telling you is that if you're in this for opportunity, if you're in this for money, start applying immediately. Start applying when you just get a little bit of knowledge, because there's space for people with just a little bit of knowledge. There are companies who want to pay you $70,000 to restart services on their server to keep their website up. There are companies that need that, and there are companies that will pay you a lot of money to update some colors and to update some words on the website every so often. And when there's a new initiative to update part of the website with a new copy and paste a new section, there are people who will pay you 70, 80 grand to do that. I know it sounds crazy, but there are. So everyone doesn't need to work at SpaceX. Everyone doesn't need to work at Twitter. There's space for you to grow and to learn, and to make some opportunity for yourself. And the market's not saturated. We're not anywhere even close to the word saturation. And yes, tech moves and changes, and you might have to go pick up a new skill. But look, the best thing that can happen is a new technology becomes incredibly popular very fast, and you already have some experience. The reason is because so few people are going to go learn that thing. I'm telling you, you can go spend 2 hours, 3 hours, like, oh, let me do this tutorial for this new technology, throw it on your resume, and now, because no one knows this thing, you get hired somewhere, and it's like, yeah, you knew the most, and we're trying to figure out how the heck to use it, and it's a big exploratory thing, and you can be on the front end of that. No, no one's a pro out here. Well, not no one. But a lot of people aren't, and a lot of people are doing very well. And if you stick with it, you will become a pro. You'll become a pro even if you're not trying to. You will become good. Just off of existing in the industry, off of being around the stuff, you'll become a pro. You become good, and everything will it'll get easier. Have a friend that gets paid $300 by a bank. Yep, works for 6 months a year to maintain COBOL for a bank. 100%. That is. Yes, these are not wrong. These Absolutely 100%. A lot of companies are looking to implement CI/CD pipelines, 100%. And CI/CD pipelines are at the core, they're much simpler than people think they are. It can get pretty crazy, it can get pretty advanced, but they're actually pretty simple to kind of get started with. So we'll be spending time learning about that. Go learn to code with Leon. Absolutely. Seriously, go learn to code with Leon. Learn with Leon is dope. Go. If you have the time, invest it in yourself. You don't got to be doing this stuff all day, every day, but you got some extra time. You're sitting around not doing anything. Go watch. Seriously, you might be sitting there and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go play some games. Go watch 10 minutes. Go to YouTube, watch 10 minutes about Linux, about coding, about something. Pick up just a 10-minute skill. Go play your games. Next day, same thing. Go spend some time learning. Watch somebody stream. Take a course. When you're about to go, eat some dinner and say, all right, well, I'm gonna spend 10 more minutes, then I'm gonna play my games. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy about how much you can learn, about how much you can pick up. Also, you don't watch, do. Agreed. Do as much as you can. Get hands-on as much as you can. Context is everything. So that's why I do encourage people, don't wait until you're ready to get a job. Start learning some stuff. Start applying immediately. You'll start to learn how to play the game, the interviewing game. You'll start to learn how to answer the questions. You go through some uncomfortable times, absolutely. But the best place to do is on the job, and to get paid by doing. I do agree. Yeah, do as many labs. That's what we're going to be doing. Basically, labs for just about everything. Every section we get to, we're going to be doing 2 or 3 labs, just to kind of really get hands on with the stuff. But yeah, get all the rejections out of the way early. There will be rejections. It will be something you have to get comfortable with. And if you can get comfortable with being rejected, you will go the farthest. You got to interview. I've done hundreds of interviews. If you already have a job, that's when you should be interviewing. That's the best time to interview. Once you get that first role, keep interviewing, keep going on interviews. It's easier to interview when you're safe and stable and you have a role. Like that's the best. That's when you interview the best. Puts you into some weird situations where you want to take the job sometimes. But yeah, I mean, it's a grind. It's a little bit of a grind to do these things. I just think this is the industry where it's almost guaranteed. Like your relative success. Like I talk to people all the time and they're like, yo, I just want, like, if you're like, I want to get to 500K total comp. Okay, now that's a lot of work, and I can't guarantee you're going to get there. That's something I'm not comfortable guaranteeing you'll get there. That depends on your drive. That depends on your ability to make connections. That depends on your ability to navigate, figure things out. But when I talk to people all the time. They're like, I need 60K. I need 80K. For you folks, I need 100K. You make a plan, you pick a topic that you want to learn, whether or not it's the best topic for you. You pick a topic that you want to learn, get okay at it, spend the time interviewing. You will get it. You will get it. You will definitely get it. Let's see. It's probably highest. It doesn't absolutely require a degree. You don't need a degree. I don't have a degree. I know plenty of people who don't have a degree. I haven't even been asked about education in forever. I haven't been asked about education ever. And I wouldn't, it's not something I would lie about. I would say, hey, I went to college for a little while. Don't have a degree. Nobody cares. No one cares. There are industries where a degree does matter. I'm not like, especially, again, we talked about this before, but in the government space, there's a lot of government roles that still require degrees. There are a lot of government contracting roles which still do, where part of the requirement is that you have a degree. There's a lot of reasons why it's changing. They do also allow usually commensurate experience. But yeah, yes, please have a degree if you're my surgeon. I agree. 100% agree with that. So don't worry about that. There are some people always ask me, am I a fan of certifications? Certifications are a tool, just like anything else, and just like a degree. A degree is a tool. I'm not saying don't get one. If you can get someone to pay for it for you, go get a degree. Great. But if it's going to put you in a bunch of debt, I say don't do it. Your time's better spent building on your own. Personally, that's what I think. Yeah, I mean, invest a little bit in yourself. Some certifications are good. Look at what you want to go into. For programming, there's not many certs I would tell you to get. A cloud cert might be beneficial to you, might make you a little bit more desirable, but like for programming, that's tough. For like DevOps and stuff, yeah, go get yourself a cloud cert. Go get yourself a Kubernetes cert. That's pretty helpful, super helpful for all of those things. Get your Scrum Master cert. Look, I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Scrum. I would love to be a Scrum Master. I would kill it. Especially because I know a lot about the technical projects. Like, I would love to be a Scrum Master. Personally, I have seen, it's one of those things where your value can be pretty high depending on the type of team you're on. But you don't have to do a lot of work if you know what's going on. If you built the skills. I've been on a team where we had an amazing Scrum Master for a long time, and we didn't know we needed a Scrum Master. We were like, Scrum Master doesn't even really do anything. And then we lost our great Scrum Master, and everything went to poop. Everything went terribly wrong. And this is actually when I became tech lead of the team at the time. I was like, oh, this is miserable. Like, this is awful. And then we got a bad Scrum Master, which was worse than not having a Scrum Master at all. So we had a bad Scrum Master for a while. And then after that person got let go, we got an amazing Scrum Master. And when I tell you, that's when I learned the true value of Scrum Masters. They're great. I would love to spend some time in a Scrum Master one day for a little while. It'd be dope. Also getting my PMP. PMP is dope, but PMP is a hard cert to get. If you're going to get it, know exactly what you're getting it for. You can make just as much money or more with a Scrum Master cert. PMP is tough and it takes a long time to study for. You don't know you need an SM until you don't have one. 100%. Seriously, I definitely learned that the hard way. But yeah, the original question was just about the landscape of the industry. The landscape is there's tons of opportunities that if you are willing to put in a little bit of work, and like everything in life, if you're willing to grind for it, you can get this stuff is like put in give me a couple of, if you can give up 8 hours a week, over the week, spend some time, learn about something. I mean, fast. You talk to some people, figure out how to talk about the things that you're learning a little bit. Very fast, you can land one of these roles. You stay at that role for 6 months to a year. I'm talking. We're in the state right now where if you got a job a year ago making 75, you can get a job this year making 130, 130, like relatively easy. People are just waiting for that you got that one job under your belt, that little bit of experience. So yeah, it's dope. It's the industry is full of opportunity, but scary. It is scary. It's scary, but tons of opportunity. I wrote my first line of code at 31, was making about 90 total comp less than a year later as a C#.NET dev. It's definitely possible. Broke his word. I love to hear it. I've seen it happen so many times, and it does sound crazy. I just did an in-person course with people, and it seems so crazy. It seems so crazy that could happen, and that you don't need to be an expert, but it's happening. There are people from the course that I'm talking to every day. People are getting jobs that are making, going from making, 40 or 50, like working very hard, to making 75, 80 at a job where they give you a bunch of free stuff and there's a lot of flexibility, and you work that again for 6 months to a year and you're well over the $100,000 mark. I think that it'll be this way for a long time. I don't think that we're in some type of bubble at all. I think salaries might start to plateau a little bit. I think, but I don't think they'll drop for a while. Just because of the scarcity of developers. But I think companies are about to be like, hey, we're not about to keep giving y'all way more money. Like, y'all are asking for too much. People are, I have people who come to me all the time like, hey, I have 3 years of experience. I want 200. I get that. I hear that so much nowadays. I'm like, dang, I wish, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. I wish when I had 3 years of experience, I was comfortable asking for that type of money. But the thing is, like, it's happening. Like, it's not easy to get. Those people know their stuff, but 3 years of experience, I get you 120, 130, easy. Pretty much pretty much across the board in the industry, 2-3 years experience, you're in the mid hundreds for sure. In the mid hundreds, easy. All these California remote jobs will start learning that 150K is like rich people status in some areas. Yeah. And so actually, funny enough, lots of conversations about localization, things like that. People are, super duper against it. I am actually someone who's in favor of localization. Currently, my mind can change on that. I wasn't at first. I am in favor of it now because I've seen what it can do I've seen what it can do to smaller markets, not taking into account localization. There are smaller tech companies. There are smaller companies building products who are getting wrecked right now, who are getting killed and are unable to compete in this market because they can't. From where they are, they could afford paying people 130, and now they're competing with companies who will pay the same people 180, and so it's getting really tough. And I think it's going to, it starts. I like the tech industry because it feels like a space where anybody could come up and be great. You build something, you'd be great. I think it gets into the point where like now only the larger companies can compete and can exist in the market well. But what it means is it does mean it's opening up opportunities for the learners. The companies who can't keep up, who can't keep pace with the best talent and blah, 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 they're saying, hey, well, I can't pay 180, so I would love to pay someone 85 to come in and learn what I need them to be and help build my product, and I'll give them more money as years go on. So, again, opportunities. Yeah. Mental health issues in tech, too, big time. Big facts. I can almost guarantee you'll chase the money. I've chased the money, and then I stopped because I had a point. I've told the story before where I left a job because I stood up and told a guy. I said, we had conversations before. I said, I'm walking out right now because I'm not a violent guy at all. I was like, I'm gonna punch you in the face. I'm gonna hit you right now. Like, so I'm walking out because I'm going to hit you in a government building with my clearance. I'm going to hit you right now. So I'm going to leave. So I left and went to the car show and never came back. Funny enough, they were like, even though I walked out and didn't come to work for days, they were still calling like, hey, just come on back. That shows you how crazy the tech industry is. And I had a job within the week. I had a new job making more within the week. And this was years ago. So, it's crazy. It was a terrible situation, a terrible place. I was making good money. I was making great money, especially at the time. I was miserable, absolutely miserable. And so, the mental health aspect of tech is tricky because one, people will say, you can't be upset. You're making all that money. And it's like, okay. I hear you. I've had that mindset before. I understand how that is, and get political real quick. And there can be a price to pay. So move in a way that is going to put you in positions to take care of your family. When you're interviewing with companies, interview that company. Okay. Yes, they're interviewing you. You interview them as well. Make sure it's a good fit for you and your family. And if it's not, get out. I'm sure companies are watching this and they're not going to like this. I won't say zero loyalty, but keep your loyalty. Your only responsibility is to you. All right. It's not to the company. If it's a bad situation for you, get out. Don't listen to the people online that tell you to just quit and leave. I'm not saying don't do that. That's fine. But make sure you if you don't have the money, if you're taking care of your family and you don't have the money to sustain yourselves, no, just go look for a new job. get a new job, and then leave. Don't put yourself into a worse situation that's more stressful. But when something's affecting your mental, get out of there. Get out of there, because a bad role, a bad step, it can put you in a rut that like takes years. I've seen people in ruts for years. I haven't been in ruts for years, but I've definitely been in ruts for months for sure. So yeah, when you're talking about, there is a mental aspect of it. City, I'm glad you threw that out there. It is something to definitely take heed of. There's been times also where I've overworked myself. There was a period of time where I had 2 full-time roles, and 2 full-time roles that required a lot of me, and that it was out of necessity. It was for survival, but it was in the tech space. It wrecked me. I burned some bridges on that I didn't think I would be able to get back from, just because I was doing that to survive, and it affected me. It affected me a lot, but then I've worked at places that have been amazing. People always say like, no company's your family and stuff. I will to the end of time. I'm gonna give fearless.tech. Everybody go apply to fearless.tech. Literally the most amazing place. I had never stayed anywhere longer than a year and a half. I stayed there for 4 years until they pushed me out on my own. They didn't push me out. They encouraged me to start my own business. Because they, it was a place that cared about me. My family, like everyone in my family. I'm not even talking about just my wife. I'm talking about my parents, my brother, my sister-in-law, my niece and nephews got to go to events, experience the company. Like you find a good place. You find a good place that's good for you and your mental, your family's mental. I could have gotten more. I could have gotten more elsewhere. I almost did a couple times, and every time it felt wrong. And my life was like mentally, I had never been in a better mental state for those 4 years. It was amazing. I ain't gonna lie. And I was just sitting here with a friend today. I think you all have seen Alex on the stream a couple times. Some of the people who've been listening for a while have seen Alex. He's done a couple things. He still works there, and we were talking about today, man. We were talking about that today. Tomorrow, this company has a day called Hooky Day, where everybody gets off from their contract and y'all go do super fun stuff. You go. We went to Autobahn and rode go-karts and all. We eat ice cream and do all sorts of stuff, and they're going to do that tomorrow. And like we were just sitting here talking about it. I was like, dang, like I know that sounds like, I know how that could sound like fake perks from a company and stuff, but like literally for 4 years coming into the office, like I was never miserable about walking into the office. I was never like, I don't want to see these people today. Like I would stay here late. Me and my wife worked in the building, and we would stay here late playing board games, all kinds of stuff with the people there. Like it was just because we were mentally free. Like we were mentally free. Like I was so unburdened. So unburdened. And still that way now. Still that way now for sure. But it was just, I think it was the first time in the industry. Like I had been in a bunch of good places, but it was the first time where I felt completely unburdened and like comfortable. Even when we were working on tough things technically, it was pretty dope. So fearless.tech, go apply. They're actually hiring a bunch right now. So like definitely go apply. Just tell them I sent you, because it's a dope spot. There's a lot of other dope companies as well, but yeah. So Mastermind. So I stream. I teach. We also get people placed. So we work with companies as well. And so actually, let me. I never give this pitch here because it really is about the learning here. And it's just not something that we've been ramped up on. We were super ramped up on it like a year ago. But been doing some other things. It's been doing some other things, but like, get people. If you need a recruiter, I don't want to. People are gonna send me a lot of emails. I don't have. The problem is I don't have a. We're working on some processes right now to make this easier, but we connect you with companies, and we also give a signing bonus. 5 You get a 5% sign-in bonus. We charge a flat rate, so if you have a company that's looking to hire, it's a 21% flat rate, 5% sign-in bonus to you. But training, we do a lot of training and development, workforce development, workforce training. Is what it is. Yep, I'm still in Baltimore. I got a concert at Pier 6 in a few days. What's a good place to pregame and get food near there? That's a great question. Pier 6, I'm super close to Pier 6 right now, like where my office is. If you want to pregame, there's a Line and Kugel's Beer Garden that's literally 2 blocks away from the Pier 6 garage. And yeah, Line and Kugel Beer Garden, they have a great outside and indoor seating area and a big beer selection if you like beer. That's a dope spot. And so that whole area is Power Plant Live. And like I said, like that's where I am now. Like these office buildings are in Power Plant Live. There's a bunch of bars and stuff right there. So if you don't like that place, there's like 4 or 5 other bars like right in the little area right there. If you want a little more upscale, there's like Blackwall Hitch, which is right across from the Pier 5 garage or Pier 6 garage. I forgot which number. I think it's Pier 5 garage. But that's like a little more upscale, but they got good cocktails and amazing like appetizers for happy hour. So definitely a good spot. What a Chad. Apply. Definitely. Seriously, y'all, apply. I'm not joking. You should definitely apply to Fearless. They're dope. Business service for job placement. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. It's going to take me a little bit to get through this stuff because, like I said, we're setting up processes for it now. You can send, what I want you to do is, so the reason why Alex was in here earlier is because we're building a platform to make this easier. But for now, can you send your email to, send your resume or just an email, but you can send your resume if you have one available. Let me get you the actual email address. Gotta pay my bill. Look at that. The life of a business owner. Actually, I just got to change my card. I got a new card. Let me see. I think it's resume, mastermind. It's at the bottom. Yeah, here we go. Telling me about. Oh yeah. Sorry, no. There's a resume. Why has it gone from here? There's actually 3 of them. There's 3 of them. Let me put it in here right now. It's resume at mastermind.io. There's also apply at mastermind.io. They all go to the same address. And there's one more. You can also send one to AB at mastermind.io. This is a distribution list that all of these places other people will see, not just me. So you can send it to AB at mastermind.io as well. So you can include all of them if you want. But they'll go there, and we will reach out to you. So like I said, we're in the middle of building. We were building a platform like last year, and we're building one right. We're almost done with it. But we've worked with a bunch of companies. Like companies come along all the time and they're like, "Yo, I see that you stream. Do you want to shout out this job?" And so we used to do sponsored job postings, which we haven't been doing, but we're about to start doing again. And so like I'm probably going to be bringing more jobs to you, but one of the biggest reasons why I didn't is because I hadn't been streaming in so long, so I wasn't taking, because I was doing some of the in-person stuff, some other workforce development stuff. We kind of backed off from some of those things, but we're gonna pick that. We're definitely gonna pick that back up for sure. If you're a React developer, there's a cool maybe you can use to keep your resume posted on a React PDF. Dope. Yeah, React PDF. I've definitely seen that before. It's dope. But yeah, send your resume over there. I'll have once the app is done, it's almost done. Like we'll have an easy path. And so one of the goals is to make like applying way less trash. And so the reason why we're like there's a platform is because we want you to be able to know exactly what's going on with your resume, or with the process period always. So like sometimes you go apply, your resume goes into a black hole. No, we'll have a number of statuses that your stuff will go through, and you'll be able to not only get see your status update. You'll be able to request every 24 hours. You'll be able to request a status update to be moved along. And so we're doing some cool things where companies will have to make daily updates to the process, and like we're making it easier on companies. But you know exactly where it is. Like if someone's looking at it, if like, hey, no one's looking at it yet, we're backed up, but it's, you know, it might be 3 to 5 days. We're gonna have a bunch of estimates and stuff, so you know generally how long things will take. You know, looked at it, still trying to figure things out. You know, there'll be a lot of different types of status updates, because that's one of the most frustrating parts about the applying process for me and for a lot of people that are helping me build it. Yeah, and so it should be dope. We're just doing a lot of testing around it, building an application, building like a real product. So many edge cases, and so we might actually, if y'all don't mind helping us test it, if y'all don't mind helping us, you know, really go through and test it, then we'll open it up. Just know that, you know, there's gonna be a lot of quirks. There might be a lot of quirks. It's a full serverless application. It's dope. Yes. We're trying to make it so that you can like, yeah, it's basically just gonna be a big API, and we're hoping other people are gonna be able to use it. Like the goal is, yes, it will be open. The tech behind it will be open source. That's what I'm saying. We're trying to build. Right now it is an API, but we're trying to pull out some functionality to make it. That's part of the struggle, is productizing it in a way that other people could take it and integrate it into their own stuff. But yes, it'll be open source. And we're also building 2 other platforms. Like I told you all, we're building that open source course builder, so people can come along and, you know, we can basically have a LinkedIn Learning or a Linux Academy, but people can come along and build a course themselves from all the free content that's out on the web. And so we actually have like a full like course building tool, and then people will be able to log in and go through these courses. And so like first it'll be tech stuff, but then it'll be open to everything. But it'll literally be in, you know, an open source course authoring platform. You know, the content's out there. Like there's free content all around the internet. So yeah, it's not a full LMS, because the LMS game is wild, and I definitely understand why LMSs are so hard to do right. It's gonna be more like a portal, I guess. Like I mean, the only LMS part of it is that I can enroll in this class so that it keeps your progress. But yeah, it should be pretty fun. It should be pretty nice. Working long is bad for your good. It's bad for your back. Good to take breaks, go for walks. 100%. One of my struggles right now is that my standing desk isn't here, and all of my previous streams before this, almost the entirety of the hours that I stream, which is like, it's well over 1,000 hours, was done standing. Definitely bad. Go for walks for sure. Take care of your body. I will say that's something that like everyone struggles with. I'm struggling with it right now, especially with a new kid and moving and all this other stuff. Like, tech, it is easy to let yourself go. Definitely something that I've done. A lot of people do it. Get up, move around. I'm really about to. I'm formulating my plan right now for getting back to being the best that I can be. It'll help. It'll help a ton. What if I solve the bug while I'm walking? Yeah, I'll die of suspense before I get back. It happens all the time. I know that sounds crazy. One of the best ways to solve problems is to walk away from it. Yoga's great. Figure out something you like. Move your body. You don't gotta go be do Spartan races or anything like that. You know, just move your body. Get outside. Enjoy some sun. You know, this is sitting for hours is as bad as smoking, or worse than smoking. So just, you know, be careful. Take care of yourself. For sure. All right, I got to get out of here. I got a couple more things that I need to do, but I always love these chats. I'm probably going to make a space for this. Me and a lot of you remember Douglas, good Sir Doug, who you see on the channel a bunch of times. We've been talking about doing like a podcasty type conversational stream every so often, but he's been busy as well. He got a new dope job because he's super smart and super great. And so we're trying to figure something out, because it's important to have conversations like this, open conversations, honest conversations, and we'll try to figure out a way to have one every so often. But thanks for coming through. Thanks for listening to me rant. I love to talk about this stuff. I love to Yeah, like I said, opportunity galore. I've been fortunate enough to kind of win in the opportunity space in tech, and I've been fortunate enough to see other people really be able to find opportunities and get around and be great in the industry. And I'm really hoping that I'm hoping to help you all find your way or hear about you finding your way. It's dope. Cool. So let's head. Oh, someone's building Wordle. I don't know who this is. Ambivalent Bunny. But we're gonna go head over because that's dope. Looks like she's building Wordle with Python. So say hello. I hope this person is not crazy, but it should be pretty fun. Let's see. Raid. There's no chance I'm gonna spell their name correctly the first time. Ambivalent. Ambivalent. Okay, Bunny. All right, I did it. Did I? Yes, I did do it. Thank you for coming through. She's kind of, but she's a good streamer. Dope. All right, it'll be great. Let's say hello, and I'll see you all Monday. If you're interested in Camp Code, come back. We're going to be diving into strings and displaying output on Monday in Camp Code. We'll be diving into EC2 and EC2 and EBS and Camp Cloud if you want to come through. And we'll be back next week learning about users and permissions and groups and all that stuff next week here. Peace out, everyone. Have a great night. Bye.